Chapter 644. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao said with great ambition, "I've asked around. Not many people know the chess saint of the Six Nations. Among the places I'm going and the people I might meet along the way, only the state preceptor has seen him. After I enter the state preceptor hall, you come out immediately. You don't have to meet the state preceptor face to face." Old Master Meng said expressionlessly, "You're quite thoughtful." "Of course." Gu Jiao cleared her throat and changed her voice into a teenager's. "I have a few lines for you." Old Master Meng's mouth twitched. He didn't know if he was speechless at her voice or that she actually came with her own plot. "What if I don't agree? I'll play a game of chess with you." "Old Master Meng, my real body is only worth a game of chess." "Wait." Gu Jiao suddenly thought of something. She jumped out of the carriage and went into the room to change into a teenager's outfit that was convenient for traveling. Tianqiong Academy's uniform was too conspicuous. It wouldn't be good if people blocked the entrance of the inner city. The Horse King didn't need anyone to drive it. Gu Jiao pulled the reins and told it to turn left or right. It avoided when it should and overtook when it should. It simply achieved a semi-automatic driving of the carriage. Gu Jiao took out a charcoal pencil and a small notebook in the carriage and wrote 2 large pages, listing all the unexpected situations they might encounter along the way. Then, she showed it to Old Master Meng. Old Master Meng looked at the embarrassing lines and almost couldn't help but tell her that she didn't need to act. He was her. Gu Jiao suddenly said, "I came out in a hurry and forgot about the coachman." The main reason was that the Horse King was too powerful. It could walk on its own, making people feel that the coachman was dispensable. It was unlike the horses at home in the past. They wouldn't walk without a whip. Gu Jiao said seriously, "You're the chess saint of the Six Nations. You must have a coachman to match your status." "I think you can be the coachman," Old Master Meng said. Gu Jiao sighed, "It's not that I can't be a coachman, but I have to enter the Royal Preceptor Hall later. If I go in, I won't come out. Won't it be suspicious if the outside of the carriage is empty?" The corner of Old Master Meng's mouth twitched again. "You've really understood this logic. Haven't you thought about the fact that the chess sage of the Six Nations can't be impersonated?" Mu Qingchen had no idea that Gu Jiao was trying to impersonate him. Otherwise, he would have stopped her with all his might. There was once someone who pretended to be the chess sage of the Six Nations. After being discovered, that person was executed in public. Since then, no one dared to do such a thing. Moreover, Mu Qingchen's understanding of Old Master Meng was not entirely correct. Old Master Meng did not like to be watched while playing chess. He always drew a screen or curtain to concentrate on playing chess, not to maintain any strange sense of mystery. He often left and entered the city, so there were quite a few guards who recognized him. As for the fact that the royal preceptor was the only one who had seen him, it was just Mu Qingchen's personal guess. It did not represent the reality. Mu Qingchen did not know that he had been to the Zhao kingdom, been a beggar, and spent money to find people to play chess. It was obvious that Mu Qingchen's understanding of Old Master Meng was not reliable. "Speaking of which, how did you pick up this token?" Gu Jiao asked. Old Master Meng glanced at her. "I just found it." Gu Jiao said, "Oh, you're quite good at finding it." When they passed through the checkpoint of the inner city, Gu Jiao sat outside and acted as the coachman. She asked Old Master Meng to hand the token of the chess sage of the Six Nations to the guards. Then she turned her head and winked at Old Master Meng in the carriage. It was time to say her lines. Old Master Meng pinched his thigh and endured the great shame in his heart. He said to the guards, "I'm the great chess sage of the Six Nations, Old Master Meng." The city guards were all stunned. What kind of nonsense is this girl writing? How could she call herself that? Old Master Meng took a deep breath and said in an arrogant tone emphasized by Gu Jiao, "Why don't you let me in?" The guards were dumbfounded. They were supposed to let him in. When had they ever stopped him? Weren't you the one who showed us the medallion? Old Master Meng put down the curtain with a bang. Gu Jiao gave Old Master Meng a thumbs up. His impromptu performance of slamming the curtain was good. It highlighted his character. Old Mr. Meng gritted his teeth. I was angry, ashamed, and ashamed. After entering the inner city, Gu Jiao found a nearby carriage shop and hired a coachman. The coachman knew the terrain of the inner city very well. Soon the carriage arrived at the Royal Preceptor Palace. He did not know who was in the carriage, but he heard that ordinary people could only enter through the corner gate. So he stopped the carriage outside the corner gate. Old Master Meng said calmly, "Go forward through the gate." Gu Jiao had already sat back in the carriage. She nodded. "Yes, with your status, you should go through the gate." She looked at the old man with appreciation. He had a thorough understanding of the role and had learned to add scenes for himself. Old Master Meng's face darkened. "I don't want to talk to you." Both the gate and the corner gate were guarded. Gu Jiao sat in the carriage and held up a small notebook for Old Master Meng. Old Master Meng clenched his fists. Could he not say anything? Gu Jiao shook her head decisively. Old Master Meng lifted the curtain. "Stop." The carriage stopped. Old Master Meng handed the token to the guard of the Royal Preceptor Palace. He glanced at the notebook held up by Gu Jiao and said shamefully, "I'm the honorable guest of the Royal Preceptor Palace, the most sincere friend of the Royal Preceptor, the great chess sage of the 6 nations, Old Master Meng." The guard of the Royal Preceptor Palace was speechless. The carriage drove straight in. "Well, you can go now. I'll go in and have a look myself," Gu Jiao said to Old Master Meng. She had a bottom line when it came to cheating people. She usually did things that were too dangerous. Old Master Meng suddenly didn't know what to say. She didn't cheat people when she should, but she cheated people when she didn't need to. He stopped her. "What do you want to do in the Royal Preceptor Palace?" Gu Jiao didn't hide it from him. "Gu Yen needs an operation. I want to see if there is a suitable place for him in the Royal Preceptor Palace." Old Master Meng knew that the Royal Preceptor Palace had excellent medical skills. However, he had never been treated in the Royal Preceptor Palace. He paused and said, "Wait a minute. I'll find someone to take you there." Then, Old Master Meng lifted the curtain and waved to a disciple of the Royal Preceptor Palace not far away. "Come here." The disciple walked over quickly. Old Master Meng said, "I'm Old Master Meng." The disciple thought, "I know." Old Master Meng coughed softly and said, "Is the Royal Preceptor here?" The disciple said, "The Royal Preceptor is traveling." Old Master Meng asked again, "Is your eldest senior brother here?" The disciple hurriedly said, "Yes." "Do you want to see our eldest senior brother?" "I'll call him here now." Old Master Meng looked at Gu Jiao and said, "No need. My young friend here has something to ask him. You can take him to your eldest senior brother." Old Master Meng said calmly and said to Gu Jiao, "I'll wait for you outside." Gu Jiao was just short of clapping for him. His acting skills were too perfect. Old Master Meng waited for Gu Jiao outside the Royal Preceptor Palace. Without any worries, Gu Jiao followed the disciple to find the eldest senior brother. Because someone led the way, Gu Jiao couldn't wander around the Royal Preceptor Palace. She couldn't appreciate the whole view of the Royal Preceptor Palace, but the scenery along the way was very good. There were jade buildings and water pavilions, simple and elegant without losing the elegance. The deeper they went, the darker the color of the buildings. Gu Jiao faintly felt a simple and mysterious aura, and she felt a little familiar with it. "Are they men of sacrifice?" Gu Jiao asked. The disciple looked around and looked at Gu Jiao in surprise. "Young master, can you sense the men of sacrifice nearby?" "Yes." Gu Jiao nodded. She seemed to be naturally sensitive to the aura of the men of sacrifice. Maybe it was because they had something in common in fighting. The men of sacrifice in the Royal Preceptor Palace were very powerful. In less than a quarter of an hour, she had already sensed at least 10 auras that were not weaker than Sirius. Gu Jiao suddenly felt a little lucky that the old man had such a trick. If she really searched secretly, it would be difficult for her to come and go freely under the eyes of so many masters. "We're here." The disciple pointed to a library and said, "Eldest senior brother is inside. Please allow me to report to him." "Thank you," Gu Jiao said. The disciple went to report. Not long after, he came out of the library and said to Gu Jiao, "Young master, my eldest senior brother wants to see you." Gu Jiao nodded and walked up the stairs. She looked at the shoes that she left at the door and took off her own shoes. Only her white footwear stepped on the spotless floor. In the library, rows and rows of bookshelves were filled to the brim with the rich fragrance of books. The library was quiet, and there were about a dozen disciples of the Imperial Preceptor Hall arranging the books on the bookshelves. However, no one made the slightest sound. After passing through the bookshelves, there was a wooden platform about a foot high. The platform was like a small open study. A man wearing a dark blue robe was sitting behind a low table on the wooden platform. Facing the bookshelves, he was writing something. Probably seeing Gu Jiao's shadow on the ground, he raised his head and revealed a handsome young face. He slightly smiled. "Are you Mr. Meng's little friend?" Gu Jiao nodded. "Yes, my surname is Xiao. Please sit." He pointed to the cushion that was just placed in front of him. "Young Master Xiao can call me Yi Qing." Gu Jiao sat down in front of the eldest disciple, Yi Qing. Yi Qing's robe was not the same as the robes of the royal preceptor palace disciples. It could be seen that he had a high status in the royal preceptor palace. He had an otherworldly temperament. When he smiled, it made people feel close to him, but they also didn't want to get too close to him. It was a sense of distance that was appropriate. Yi Qing put down the pen and paper in his hands. A disciple brought him a basin of water to wash his hands. His hands were actually very clean, but washing them before pouring tea for guests was etiquette. The disciple left. He personally poured tea for Gu Jiao and poured a cup of tea for himself. He asked with a smile, "May I know why young Master Xiao came to the royal preceptor palace?" Gu Jiao looked at him and said, "My brother has a heart disease and needs surgery." "Heart disease surgery?" Yi Qing pondered for a moment. "Our royal preceptor palace is indeed proficient in medical skills, but I'm afraid that ordinary doctors can't do such a big operation." Gu Jiao's eyes moved slightly. She felt that she saw the hope of Gu Yan's recovery. "So your royal preceptor palace can perform such a complicated operation?" Yi Qing smiled and said, "My master can. My master's medical skills are excellent. He once performed a heart disease operation for a patient." Gu Jiao asked, "Was the operation successful?" Yi Qing said, "It was successful. But unfortunately, although the patient's heart disease was cured, he didn't survive the accident. The world is really unpredictable." Gu Jiao said, "An accident is an accident, and an operation is an operation." "What you said is very true." Yi Qing nodded with a smile. "But how did you know that your brother needed an operation?" "Ordinary people couldn't think of this." Gu Jiao said, "I know a little about medical skills." "I see." Yi Qing said regretfully, "Unfortunately, young Master Xiao came at the wrong time. My master went out. If young Master Xiao came a few days earlier, you might have met my master." It didn't matter. She could perform the operation herself. Gu Jiao said bluntly, "I can perform the operation myself. Can I borrow your operating room?" Perhaps because of Mr. Meng, Yi Qing was very generous and polite to Gu Jiao. He said pleasantly, "You can borrow the ordinary operating room. I don't have the key to my master's operating room. I have to wait for him to come back." Even the operating room could be understood. The royal preceptor palace really had a culture of time travel. Gu Jiao pondered for a moment and suddenly asked, "Is it strange or not?" Yi Qing was stunned. "Forget it, it's nothing. This wasn't time travel." Gu Jiao waved her hand and changed the topic. "When will the royal preceptor come back?" "Ah." Yi Qing came back to his senses and said, "Master said before he left that he would be back in 20 days at the fastest and a month at the slowest." A month wasn't too long. With Gu Yan's current situation, he could afford to wait. This trip was much smoother than Gu Jiao imagined. Not only did she enter the Royal Preceptor Palace, she also confirmed the existence of the operating room and obtained permission to use it. Gu Jiao thanked Yi Qing and left the Royal Preceptor Palace under the escort of the disciples. She sat in the carriage, weighed the token in her hand, and sighed, "I didn't expect the identity of the chess saint of the 6 countries to be so useful." Old Master Meng straightened his back without batting an eyelid. "Humph. Digression, Mr. Meng. Why aren't you sucking up to me?" "Jiao Jiao, you should go walk the horse." "Mr. Meng, the latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found on the internet are all here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1078688522. HTML Genius memorized this site's address. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. Chapter 645. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels can be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. Gu Jiao sent the coachman back to the carriage shop, and then went out of the inner city with Master Meng. "I still don't know your surname," Gu Jiao said. A best actor who could play the role of the chess sage of the 6 countries deserved a surname. "Meng," Master Meng said lightly. Gu Jiao looked at him strangely. "Your surname is Meng too." Master Meng. "Oh, does it sound familiar?" "Yes, I'm the chess sage of the 6 countries, Master Meng." Gu Jiao said, "Oh, that's quite a coincidence." Then, there was no more. Master Meng. As the saying goes, an old horse knows the way. After leaving the city, Gu Jiao didn't even need to pull the reins to turn. The Horse King made the carriage fully automatic and drove the carriage back to the small alley where they lived without stopping. The house was very lively today. Xiao Hang and little Jing Kong were here. Gu Jiao heard little Jing Kong's small voice from afar. The quiet yard seemed to be alive all of a sudden. Master Meng's face stiffened. Obviously, the shadow of being blown into ashes by little Jing Kong still lingered in his heart. Master Meng couldn't help but shiver when he heard little Jing Kong's voice. Master Meng hesitated and didn't step into the yard. The Horse King also didn't enter the yard. The man and the horse turned around tacitly. The Horse King took the reins and handed them to Master Meng. Master Meng grabbed the reins and walked the horse quickly. "Jiao Jiao. Grandpa. Little Shi." Little Jing Kong's excited voice suddenly sounded behind Master Meng. Master Meng's body stiffened again. The Horse King took back the reins without hesitation and ran away alone, leaving Master Meng behind. Little Jing Kong ran over, raised his little head, and looked at Master Meng. "Grandpa, you've recovered." "I didn't. I'm so dizzy." Mr. Meng covered his head and staggered into the study. Little Jing Kong threw himself into Gu Jiao's arms. "Jiao Jiao." He was playing marbles with Gu Shaoshan in the courtyard just now and was sweating profusely. Gu Jiao held his hand and walked into the courtyard. Xiao Hang was working in the backyard. He had changed back into men's clothing and left the city. He was dressed in white and tall like jade. He was clearly chopping firewood and carrying water, but his every movement was pleasing to the eye. Gu Jiao went into the house and changed little Jing Kong into a set of dry clothes. Little Jing Kong went to play happily, and Gu Jiao went to the backyard. "You're here?" She stepped forward to greet him. "Okay." Xiao Hang calmly responded and split the last piece of firewood in his hand. In fact, he had already seen her coming back. But as a man, sometimes he was a little prideful and had to wait for her to coax him. This made him very proud. After chopping the firewood, he went to carry water. "Let me do it," Gu Jiao said. Xiaoheng said, "No, you can sit down." Gu Jiao looked at him steadily and curved her lips. She did not refuse and moved a small stool to sit beside him. He put the wooden bucket into the well, turned the joystick, and pulled the bucket up bit by bit. Gu Jiao looked at him with her chin in her hands and asked, "Why did you come here today?" "The academy is on break." Xiaoheng said, "Jing Kong wants to see you, so I came here." "What about you?" Gu Jiao asked. Xiaoheng's ears turned red. He did not dare to look at her and only stared at the bucket of water he pulled up. The water rippled. "Me." His eyelashes fluttered and he whispered, "I want to see you too." Gu Jiao curled her lips. She thought of something and asked, "But isn't your talisman festival in the inner city with me? How can you get out of the city?" Xiaoheng said, "I have my own way." The most beautiful woman in the academy had many suitors. A talisman festival in the inner city was nothing to her. Xiaoheng looked in the direction of the study and asked, "The man called Grandpa by Jing Kong is?" Gu Jiao said, "He met a kind-hearted man from Jing Kong on the way. Jing Kong injured him with the black fire pearl. He is now recuperating here. His surname is Meng." There were many people with the surname Meng in the world. It was difficult to connect him with the chess master of the 6 kingdoms. Xiaoheng looked at the closed door and said, "Does he live in the study?" Gu Jiao said, "Yes, there are no extra rooms in the house." There were only 3 main rooms in the house. Master Lu and Madame Nan shared one, Gu Xiaoshun and Gu Yen shared one, and the last room was hers. Old Master Meng could only rest in the study. The study was not big, but only Xiaoheng and little Jing Kong needed to use the study. The rest of the family could use their own rooms. There was only one desk in the study. After moving it out, a bamboo bed made by Master Lu was placed on it. Xiaoheng whispered, "If I had known, I would have told the headmaster that I would go back tomorrow morning." "What?" Gu Jiao didn't hear him clearly. "Nothing." Xiaoheng said seriously, "Where did you go just now?" They rarely interfered with each other's private affairs, but she didn't know if it was because their relationship had deepened, but it was difficult for him to leave her alone like before. Gu Jiao didn't hide it from him and said, "I went to the Nation Master's Hall just now." The Nation Master's Hall? Xiaoheng was slightly stunned. He put the water on the well and turned to look at Gu Jiao. "Did you go to the gate of the Nation Master's Hall or enter the Nation Master's Hall?" "I went in," Gu Jiao said. Xiaoheng was even more surprised. He had been in Chengdu for so long, so he had naturally heard of the Nation Master's Hall. It was the most heavily guarded place in Chengdu except for the Imperial Palace. Ordinary people couldn't get in at all. Not to mention ordinary people, even the dignitaries could rarely enter the Nation Master's Hall. But Gu Jiao not only went in, but also came out intact. "How did you get in?" Xiaoheng asked. Gu Jiao told Xiaoheng that she had asked old Master Meng to pretend to be the chess sage of the 6 kingdoms and sneak into the Nation Master's Hall. Xiaoheng didn't say anything for a long time after hearing it. "Are you sure he's a fake?" he asked. "Well, how can the chess sage of the 6 kingdoms be a beggar in Zhao Kingdom? I've seen him in Zhao Kingdom." As Gu Jiao spoke, she took out her small notebook and showed off the plot and lines that she had written exclusively to her husband. Xiaoheng looked at the lines and suddenly couldn't look directly at old Master Meng in the study. After dinner, Xiaoheng and little Jing Kong returned to the inner city. Before leaving, Gu Jiao returned the inner city talisman of Gu Jiao to Xiaoheng. Now that she had the token of the chess sage of the 6 kingdoms, she didn't need this talisman anymore. Xiaoheng could take other people's tokens, but it was more convenient for him to have his own. After the two of them left, Gu Jiao also planned to go back to her room to rest. As soon as she turned around, she saw old Master Meng looking outside the gate with a complicated expression. Gu Jiao followed his gaze and looked back, asking him, "What are you looking at?" "Who is that person?" old Master Meng asked. Only 2 people went out of the house, Jing Kong and Xiao Heng. Naturally, old Master Meng wasn't asking about Jing Kong. Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows and said, "My husband, Lu Lang. Didn't you hear his name?" Gu Jiao initially hid her identity from old Master Meng, but after Xiao Lu Lang came to the house, and Master Nan and Master Lu kept calling him Lu Lang, it was difficult not to reveal her identity. Old Master Meng already knew who was Gu Jiao and who was Xiao Lu Lang. Old Master Meng frowned. "How can you have a husband at such a young age?" Gu Jiao said fiercely, "I do." Old Master Meng asked, "He's from Zhao Kingdom?" "Yes," Gu Jiao said. "Zhao Kingdom." Old Master Meng frowned and murmured. Gu Jiao was careless in some things, but most of the time, she was very careful. She caught the strange look in old Master Meng's eyes and asked, "You don't think he's from Zhao Kingdom?" "That's not what I meant." Old Master Meng considered his words and said, "Forget it, maybe I was wrong." Gu Jiao pondered for a moment and suddenly said, No, you may not be wrong. Have you seen him somewhere else?" Old Master Meng recalled and said, "I did see someone who looked like him, but I didn't know him. I just saw him from afar." "Why would he remember?" It was probably because some people were born with a photographic memory. Gu Jiao thought of the person Mo Chinchue had seen and asked, "Where did you see him?" Old Master Meng said, "At the gate of the State Preceptor Hall." Gu Jiao asked, "Is he a disciple of the State Preceptor Hall?" Old Master Meng shook his head and said, "No, he wasn't wearing the robe of the State Preceptor Hall, and he didn't act like a disciple of the State Preceptor Hall. At that time, he looked more like he was going to the State Preceptor Hall for treatment." Treatment? Gu Jiao fell into deep thought. What old Master Meng didn't say was that the people who could go to the State Preceptor Hall for treatment were not ordinary people. And that young man went in from the front gate. The eldest disciple of the State Preceptor Hall, Yi Qing, personally went to the gate to greet him. This was not a treatment that a young master of an aristocratic family could enjoy. That young man was most likely a member of the great Yen royal family. Digression. It's the last day of the double event. If you have a monthly ticket, please vote now. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. All the novels that you can't find on the internet are available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1078528888. HTML Genius memorized this site's address. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. Chapter 646. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more exciting content. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are available here. Gu Jiao went back to the room to check Gu Yan's body and told him the good news of finding the operating room. Gu Yan rested his head on Gu Jiao's lap and fell asleep peacefully. It was late at night. In a courtyard of the Su mansion, Mu Qingchen took a bath and changed his clothes. He sat down by the bed with his long black hair hanging loosely. He opened the door of the bedside table and took out a brocade box. There was a shabby little doll in the brocade box. It had a big bloody mouth, sharp teeth, blind eyes, and bald hair. Early the next morning, Gu Jiao went to check Gu Yan's pulse as usual after washing up. There was an old man and a horse at home. Occasionally, Xiaojiu would fly over from the inner city. The house was lively and Gu Yan was not so bored. Gu Jiao went to school with Gu Xiaoshun without worry. Today, Mu Qingchen sat in the last row. Gu Jiao didn't want to sit with him at first, but Gu Jiao sadly found that except for Mu Qingchen's unapproachable aura, there was no other quiet place in the class. Gu Jiao looked to the left and saw Zhong Ding waving at her. Gu Jiao looked to the right and saw Zhou Tong waving at her. Gu Jiao thought for a while and sat down next to Mu Qingchen with her school bag in her arms. Zhou Tong sat in front of Gu Jiao and took out his homework weakly. Pa! Mu Qingchen threw his homework on the table in front of Gu Jiao. Zhou Tong cowardly turned his half-turned body back to his original position. Gu Jiao finished copying the homework. Teacher Gao came. Teacher Gao and Teacher Jiang had classes in the morning. Gao Fuzi mainly taught arithmetic and was rather fierce and strict. Jiang Fuzi mainly taught the 4 books and 5 classics, political theory, and so on. He was gentle and somewhat old-fashioned, but not pedantic. Both of them were very respectable teachers. Even so, the students in the class still loved Master Wu's class the most. It seemed that since ancient times, PE classes had always been students' favorite. In the afternoon, there were 2 hours of self-study, followed by Wu Fuzi's equestrian and archery lessons. Originally, the equestrian and archery class was in the beginning, but the weather was gradually getting hotter. The first hour of the afternoon was when the sun was the hottest, so Wu Fuzi changed the class. After the equestrian archery class began, everyone found that there was no target on the field. Instead, Wu Fuzi had a club and a fist-sized wooden ball in his hand. "Today, we will be bowing," Wu Fuzi said. Everyone was surprised. Obviously, there was not often a bowing lesson. Zhou Tong asked, "Master Wu, why are you suddenly bowing?" Monarchs liked bowing, and bowing was very popular in Shangdu. However, bowing was dangerous, so this kind of literary academy did not include it in the formal curriculum. Wu Fuzi smiled and said, "I discussed with Principal Tsun this morning and decided to participate in this year's bowing competition." Zhou Tong was shocked. "What? Bowing competition? Our academy?" Their academy was a bookworm who only knew how to dance. Why would they participate in a bowing competition? Wasn't this just asking to be humiliated? The rest of the people had the same idea as Zhou Tong. Their academy had produced many top scholars in the imperial examinations, but they could forget about bowing. About a few years ago, Principal Tsun and Wu Fuzi had signed up for the bowing competition like today. In the end, they did not score a single ball and were beaten miserably. Had Principal Tsun and Wu Fuzi forgotten the pain after the scar healed? Ahem. Wu Fuzi cleared his throat and said seriously, "Today is different from the past. Our academy has the strength to compete with other academies. The principal and I have confidence in you." When he said this, he kept looking at Gu Jiao. He almost directly asked Gu Jiao to participate. "Okay, let's go and choose a horse," Wu Fuzi said. All the students went to the race course. "Xiao Lulang, come here." Wu Fuzi called Gu Jiao. Zhongding winked at Gu Jiao. "Of course you're going to participate." Zhou Tong made a gesture. "Good luck." Gu Jiao came to Wu Fuzi. Wu Fuzi said pleasantly, "Have you played bowing in the Zhao Kingdom before?" "No." Gu Jiao said bluntly. "Ah." Wu Fuzi was stunned and smiled. "It's okay. I can teach you. Every day after school, you can come to the pasture to find me. We'll train for 2 hours. It was not enough to go to school. Extra classes." Gu Jiao did not want to do it. She was determined to resist the after-school tutoring. "This is not only an honor for you, but also for the academy. I think highly of you. I hope you can win glory for the academy." Gu Jiao still did not want to do it. "It's also good for you. If you become famous, you may have a chance to stay in Chengdu in the future." Gu Jiao was stubborn. Wu Fuzi had a headache. "Aren't you very aggressive? What's wrong? It's not worthy of bowing?" Gu Jiao said seriously, "Wu Fuzi, I'm not good at studying. I need to focus more on my studies. I won't think about the competition for the time being. I'll focus on my studies." "Wait, why don't you say that when you copy homework every day? You doze off in class. Do you think I can't see it when I pass by?" Wu Fuzi was confused. Gu Jiao cupped her hands and turned to walk to the stable. The students in the stable were talking about the bowing competition. Hey, have you heard? The bowing competition is held at Lingbo Academy again. This is the third time it's held at their academy. Lingbo Academy? Is that the academy with the prodigy class? Yes. That's it. Hey. Is Kanglan Women's Academy right next to Lingbo Academy? Do you think the students of Kanglan Women's Academy will go to watch the competition? They went last year. They will go this year too, right? Gu Jiao turned back. Wu Fuzi, what are the rules of the competition? Wu Fuzi was speechless. Didn't you say you wouldn't participate? On the other side, Dean Sen was having a friendly talk with Mu Qingchen in the dean's office. Dean Sen said, "Here's the thing. I know you don't usually participate in the affairs of the academy, but I still hope you can participate in the bowing competition." Mu Qingchen was a rare student who excelled in both the pen and the sword. He was very good at bowing and could be ranked among the top in Chengdu. Dean Sen smiled. Your classmate Xiao Lu Lang will also participate. He is a newbie and has no experience in bowing. I hope you can guide him. Mu Qingchen walked out of the dean's office and headed to the field. Fourth brother. He was halfway there when a young student suddenly rushed out from the side and called out to him. This person was none other than Mu Chuan, a student from Bright Maple Hall who ate with him on the second floor. Mu Chuan's father and Mu Qingchen's mother were biological siblings. In terms of blood, they were cousins. However, Mu Qingchen took after his mother, so Mu Chuan had always regarded him as a member of the Mu family. Coincidentally, Mu Qingchen was also ranked fourth among the Mu family's men in this generation. Don't you need to go to class? Mu Qingchen looked at Mu Chuan and asked. I snuck out. Mu Chuan said. What's up? Mu Qingchen asked indifferently. Mu Chuan asked curiously. My classmate passed by the dean's office and heard that you agreed to participate in the bowing competition. Is that true? Mu Qingchen glanced at him. You skipped class just to tell me this? Mu Chuan chuckled. I want to know. Mu Qingchen walked forward. Go back to your class. Mu Chuan caught up with him. I'll participate too. Mu Qingchen left. The bowing competition was a confrontation between two teams. Each team had 4 players. 2 of them were bowlers, 1 main and 1 assistant, 1 bowler, and 1 defender. The bowler was mainly responsible for interfering with the other team's movements and feeding the 2 bowlers the ball. The defender was mainly responsible for guarding the goal of his team and preventing the other team from scoring. When Mu Qingchen arrived at the grassland, Gu Jiao had just learned the rules of the bowing competition from Wu Fuzi and was choosing a cue stick. This one is good. Zhou Tong picked up a cue stick and said to Gu Jiao. Your cue stick is a little broken. Let's use this one. Zhong Ding picked another one and handed it to Gu Jiao. A group of people surrounded the grassland to choose a cue stick for Gu Jiao. Mu Qingchen was about to walk over when suddenly, a group of people came from the other side of the grassland. It was a bit exaggerated to say that they were mighty. There were no more than 20 people in total, but their aura was so strong that it made people think of thousands of soldiers and horses. Among those people, a young man with a feminine temperament came over. He made an obeisance to Mu Qingchen and said something. Mu Qingchen nodded slightly and walked over with him. Zhong Ding couldn't help but look over. Among those powerful men, there seemed to be a noble young man in brocade clothes. He murmured, Who are those people? Zhou Tong craned his neck and looked over. He said in surprise, Oh my God, they're from the Crown Prince's mansion. How do you know? Zhong Ding asked. Zhou Tong didn't dare to point with his finger, so he hinted with his eyes. They're the brocade guards from the Crown Prince's mansion. I've seen them in the inner city. Zhong Ding said in disbelief, The Crown Prince's mansion came to our academy. Oh my God! Was he dreaming? He couldn't believe that he could see the Crown Prince's mansion from afar. Zhou Tong continued, That young man should be Prince Ming from the Crown Prince's mansion. The Crown Prince's son? Gu Jiao asked. Yes. Zhou Tong nodded. He's the Crown Prince's legitimate son. Gu Jiao looked over. Although they were far away, Gu Jiao's eyesight was very good. She could see the side of the young man's face clearly. It was a face brimming with confidence and dignity. He was talking to Mu Qingchen in a gentle manner. From time to time, he would smile as if he was a friend. Zhou Tong said enviously, "Only young Master Qingchen can be so respected that Prince Ming from the Crown Prince's mansion would lower himself to visit him. Unlike us, we don't even have the right to greet Prince Ming." Prince Ming from the Crown Prince's mansion came out in plain clothes. He didn't let anyone receive him. After greeting Mu Qingchen, he went with Mu Qingchen to Dean Sin's office. Prince Ming used to be a student of Qianqiong Academy, Zhongding said to Gu Jiao after Zhou Tong and the others were called away. Gu Jiao was still choosing a cue stick. She didn't say anything. What did the people from the Crown Prince's mansion have to do with her? Zhongding looked around and couldn't hold back the fire of gossip in his heart. He whispered to Gu Jiao, "The people of Yan Kingdom were here just now, so I didn't dare to say. Do you know about the Crown Prince's residence?" "No," Gu Jiao said calmly and changed to another cue stick. Zhongding was easy to talk to. He didn't care whether Gu Jiao liked to hear it or not. He only cared about whether he wanted to say it or not. Otherwise, he would feel uncomfortable holding it in. He lowered his voice and said, "The Crown Prince wasn't the Crown Prince and Prince Ming wasn't conferred the title yet." This club was not good either. It was too light. Gu Jiao frowned and changed another one. Zhongding walked in front of her. The Crown Prince is the second son of the Emperor of Yan Kingdom. His mother is Imperial Concubine Han. Do you know the Han family? No, Gu Jiao said. Zhongding said, "I don't know much either. Anyway, it's a very powerful family. The original Crown Prince is the third princess of Empress Yuan." Hearing this, Gu Jiao finally reacted. Her hand holding the cue stick paused and she looked at Zhongding. "Princess? A princess can also be the Crown Prince?" This surprised Gu Jiao. Zhongding hurriedly said, "There was no such precedent. The Crown Princess of Yan Kingdom was the first. Do you know who the Empress Yuan's brother is?" He didn't ask this question to wait for Gu Jiao's answer. After asking, he said to himself, "It's the Yan Kingdom's war god, Shenyuan Li." Shenyuan Li's sister entered the palace and gave birth to a daughter for the Emperor of Yan Kingdom. At the banquet, the Emperor conferred her the title of Crown Princess of Yan Kingdom. That was truly a collection of all the doting on him. Her father was the Emperor, her mother was the Empress Yuan and her uncle was the head of the Shenyuan family who had millions of soldiers. There was no one more honorable than her in the world. What happened after that? Gu Jiao asked. She was rarely interested in irrelevant things. Perhaps it was because she was using Shenyuan Li's divine weapon, so she was a little more curious about things related to the Shenyuan family. Zhongding spread his hands and sighed. After that, there was no after. The Shenyuan family rebelled. The Crown Princess was deposed and the Empress Yuan was banished to the cold palace. The war god of Yan Kingdom fell. Gu Jiao paused and asked, "How old is the Crown Princess?" Zhongding thought for a while. "About the same age as the Crown Prince? Her son is only 1 year older than Prince Ming. Prince Ming is 18 this year. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found online here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964282/1078505002. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 647. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find on the internet. When Mu Qingchen came over, Zhong Ding immediately shut up. He led the horse and took the cue to find Zhou Tong and the others. Mu Qingchen looked at Zhong Ding's back and asked, "What were you talking about just now? Why did he leave as soon as he saw me?" "Nothing," Gu Jiao said. She didn't like to gossip, let alone spread it. She paused. Perhaps she felt that she had to answer Mu Qingchen's question, so she added, "I wasn't talking about you." Mu Qingchen stopped asking. He could almost guess that the arrival of Commandery Prince Ming had caused a stir. Although Commandery Prince Ming didn't show his identity, most of the students here were from Chengdu, and many of them were young masters of aristocratic families. Some of them might have seen Commandery Prince Ming before. "Are you picking the queue?" Mu Qingchen looked at Gu Jiao, who kept changing the queue, and asked. "Yes," Gu Jiao replied faintly. None of the cue sticks were suitable for her. Mu Qingchen left without saying a word. Gu Jiao didn't care and continued to pick the cue sticks. But after a while, Mu Qingchen came back with a horse and a cue stick in his hand. "Here you are." Gu Jiao glanced at him and took the cue from him. She weighed it in her hand and compared it. It was heavier than the other cue sticks, but for someone who was used to using the red tasseled spear, the weight was just right. "Thank you," Gu Jiao said. Then she looked at him and asked, "What are you going to use?" "This." Mu Qingchen grabbed a cue stick from the basket and got on the horse. "I'll show you around." Gu Jiao also got on her horse. "Okay." Mu Qingchen first introduced the requirements and rules of bowing to Gu Jiao. Bowing was first passed down from the royal family of the Jin state. As soon as it entered the Yan state, it was liked by the royal family. Later, it gradually became popular in the circle of nobles. Today, bowing was included in the curriculum of many aristocratic academies. There were no bow striking classes in the Qianqiong Academy, but Wu Fuzi would often lead the students to bow striking classes. Archery had very high requirements for horses. All archery racehorses had to go through very strict training. The training difficulty of archery racehorses was far higher than that of war horses. The requirements for the bowler were not low. Horsemanship, skills, stamina, willpower, and adaptability were all indispensable. "You win if you hit the ball into the opponent's hole," Mu Qingchen continued, "but remember, you can't collide head-on with the ball, hit your opponent with the club, or interfere with your opponent's horse. You can't touch the ball with your body. These are the main taboos. It's inevitable that there will be some unexpected conflicts during the competition, so you have to protect yourself." As he spoke, he pointed at the protective gear carried over by the Academy's manservant and said, "The protective gear is here. Put it on and let's officially play a round." Gu Jiao put on the elbow and knee pads, and put on the palm pads, and went up the stage with Mu Qingchen. She tried the 4 seats one by one, and all of them were good. But the most amazing thing was the stroke she played when she bow striking. The ball was passed to her by Mu Qingchen. Due to Wu Fuzi's interference, the ball was actually a little off course. Who would have thought that she would accurately hook the ball over the top of her head? Then, with a swing of her club, she hit the ball into the hole from a distance that was impossible to see clearly. Everyone was amazed by this stroke. This momentum and this accuracy, she was simply a born archer. Mu Qingchen rode his horse to Gu Jiao's side and looked at her deeply. "Is this really your first time bow striking?" Gu Jiao nodded. Mu Qingchen wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. In the end, he just said, "That stroke just now was very skillful." Gu Jiao thought about it seriously and said, "Well, this is probably the legendary talent?" Mu Qingchen was speechless. The afternoon's training soon ended. Gu Jiao played for the first time. Compared with Mu Qingchen, who had bow striking since childhood, her skills were naturally a little green, but basically met Wu Fuzi's expectations. There was one thing that Gu Jiao was too fierce, and she would commit a foul if she was not careful. She would easily be sent off the stage. Wu Fuzi said, "The game will be held in 7 days. In these days, everyone should practice hard. Wu Fuzi selected a total of 20 people. Only 4 of them really played, and there were several substitutes. In the next few days, Gu Jiao would stay in the academy after school to practice with Mu Qingchen and the others. Gu Shaoshun sat on the edge of the grassland and waited for her. In the blink of an eye, it was the day before the game. Wu Fuzi called everyone to the grassland and announced the players selected according to the training performance of these days. As expected, the first one was Mu Qingchen. The other 3 were Gu Jiao, Yuan Xiao from Bright Maple Hall, and Zhao Wei from Bright Moon Hall. Mu Chuan was a substitute. Gu Shaoshun was often waiting for Gu Jiao on the grassland, so he was a logistics team leader and also participated in the game with them. Wu Fuzi smiled. Let's not practice today. Everyone go back and rest early. We will go to Lingbo Academy tomorrow morning. After returning to the house, Gu Jiao told her family about the game in the inner city tomorrow morning. Gu Yan suddenly said, I want to watch your game too. Gu Jiao looked at Gu Yan and nodded. Okay. Before going to bed, Gu Jiao checked Gu Yan's body again. It had become a habit for Gu Jiao to do it in the morning and in the evening. Gu Yan lay on the bed and obediently opened his shirt to let Gu Jiao put the stethoscope on. His condition hadn't deteriorated too much for the time being, so it wasn't a big problem for him to watch a game. After returning to the house, Gu Jiao put the stethoscope back into the small medicine box. She lay on the bed, closed her eyes, and fell into a deep sleep. Gu Jiao didn't expect that she would dream again at night. Why did she say again? It wasn't the first time she dreamed after coming to Shangdu, but every time she woke up, she couldn't remember what she dreamed of. The sky in her dream was gray, and she couldn't tell the time. She was outside a quiet courtyard, and in front of her was a vermilion gate. She didn't know which mischievous brat had scratched a few marks on the gate with the tip of a knife. It was strange. Why did she subconsciously think that it was caused by a mischievous brat? What if it was a servant who bumped into it while moving things? She pushed open the gate and stepped into the courtyard. A cluster of green bamboos was planted in the left corner, and rows of bellflowers were planted on both sides of the wall. When the breeze blew, the bellflowers rustled. This was a strange yet familiar courtyard. It was strange because Gu Jiao had never been here before. It was familiar because even though she had been here before, she vaguely knew what each room was used for. The corridor started from the east. The first room was a wing room, the second room was the upper room, the third room was the study, and after turning the corner, there was a storeroom. Gu Jiao looked at the row of rooms in front of her with a strange expression. A voice came from behind the unlocked study door. "Yin, it's time to practice writing. Come here quickly. Don't be lazy." "Oh, you're hiding again, aren't you? How many times have I told you, you have to practice 100 words every day?" The owner of this voice was. Just when Gu Jiao was confused, the study door opened, and a man in a blue gown stepped out. Gu Jiao recognized him at a glance. It was the Duke. At this time, the Duke was still very young and handsome, completely different from the haggard middle-aged man lying on the bed. Therefore, even she herself did not know how she was able to recognize him at first glance. In short, as soon as this man came out, she knew his identity in her mind. "Yin." The man began to look for her in every room. "Yin, don't hide anymore. It's time to practice writing." "Okay, I won't force you to practice writing. Let's go out and play. Come out." "Yin. Yin. Yin, where have you been?" The young Duke's voice became nervous. "Yin, don't scare me. Come out quickly. Where have you been, Yin? Father misses you very much. Yin, come out quickly." His eyes were red, and tears were rolling in his eyes. His voice was trembling and choking. "Yin, Yin, father misses you, Yin." He staggered and fell on the steps. Gu Jiao subconsciously reached out her hand as if she wanted to help him. Gu Jiao was at the door, and he was on the steps. There was an entire courtyard between them. She put her hand down again. At this moment, he suddenly raised his head and looked in the direction of the door. In. Gu Jiao's heart skipped a beat. She opened her eyes and woke up from her dream. The dream in her mind receded like the tide. She quickly forgot what had happened in the dream. She only remembered a panicked handsome face. He looks a bit like the Duke. Gu Jiao raised her brows. Was it because she had seen the High Duke too many times that she even dreamed of him? After dawn, Gu Jiao, Gu Shaoshun, and Gu Yan were ready to set off. Gu Yan's body was weak and couldn't move. Fortunately, Master Lu made a wheelchair for him. Master Lu drove the carriage to Chenqiong Academy. Wu Fuzi led the group out of the academy. Mu Qingchen and Mu Chuan returned to the inner city last night. They were going to Lingbo Academy by themselves. Gu Jiao wanted to bring Gu Yan along. President San and Wu Fuzi didn't have any objections. The group entered the inner city in a carriage. On the other side, Second Master Jing also used a wheelchair to push his eldest brother out of the courtyard. "Hey, what are you doing?" Second Madam stopped him and asked. Second Master Jing looked at his eldest brother in the wheelchair and said to Second Madam, "There's a boxing competition today. I'm bringing eldest brother to watch." Second Madam hurriedly said, "Eldest brother is already like this. You still want to bring him out?" Second Master Jing said seriously, "Eldest brother is much better. I even saw him open his eyes last night." Second Madam glared at him. "Is that considered opening his eyes?" After opening his eyes, he was in a daze and didn't know how to close them. He also didn't respond when she spoke to him. Was his eyelid twitching? Second Madam chuckled. "I think you want to watch the boxing competition yourself. Why are you using eldest brother as an excuse?" Second Master Jing cleared his throat. Cough cough. "I'm just worried about leaving eldest brother alone in the residence. Assassins always come to assassinate eldest brother. I have to personally watch eldest brother to be at ease. Moreover, the imperial physician also told us to bring eldest brother out to get some sunlight." Second Madam said coldly, "Are you going to watch the boxing competition or those beauties from Tsonglan Academy?" Second Master Jing said domineeringly, "Of course I'm going to watch the boxing competition. And also to watch the beauties." Second Madam frowned and muttered, "But there's something going on in the residence today. I can't leave." "It's good that you can't leave. If you go, how can I watch the beauties?" Second Master Jing smiled. "You do what you need to do. Come back when you're done. I'll save a seat for you." Second Madam coldly glared at Second Master Jing. Second Master Jing swaggered away with his eldest brother in his wheelchair. Second Madam called a manservant. "You go and serve Second Master. Remember to keep an eye on him. Don't let him mess around outside." The manservant replied, "Yes, madam." As the competition venue, Lingbo Academy gave the students a day off. Although Tsonglan Academy didn't give them a day off, they basically arranged for self-study. Most of the students went to Lingbo Academy to watch the competition. Lingbo Academy had the largest boxing competition venue in the inner city. The seats with the widest view were set up on both sides. "I want to watch the boxing competition." In Ling Long Pavilion's dormitory, little Jing Kong protested to his bad brother-in-law who forced him to study. "I'm not going," Xiao Heng said. Little Jing Kong exploded on the spot. "You're really a bad brother-in-law. You won't even bring me to watch the boxing competition." Xiao Heng said indifferently, "There are many people. You're so small. You won't even know if someone steps on you. I've grown taller. I'm not small anymore. I'm so tall." Little Jing Kong stood on his tiptoes and tried to gesture at the top of his head. Xiao Hang glanced at him and continued to read the book in his hand. Little Jing Kong was really angry. He was going to run away from home for the second time. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. "Who is it?" Little Jing Kong asked. Bad brother-in-law didn't know how to speak in a female voice, so he pretended to be a mute. The girl outside the room smiled and said, "It's Jing Kong. Is your sister here? We're here to invite her to watch the boxing competition next door." Little Jing Kong looked at Xiao Hang as if he had seen a ghost. Someone actually invited you to watch the competition? Bad brother-in-law was so bad that he didn't have any friends. Xiao Heng didn't move. Little Jing Kong was going crazy. It's good enough that someone wants to be your friend, but you still don't like it. Little Jing Kong snorted, "If you don't want to go, I'll go." Xiao Heng didn't even lift his eyelids. Ha! Little Jing Kong decisively abandoned his bad brother-in-law and walked to the door. He looked at the three girls outside the room and said cutely, "My sister won't go with you. I'll go with you." The three girls were stunned. The girl who spoke just now said, It's better not. We don't dare to take you without your sister's permission." They didn't invite her because they really treated her as a friend. They could only get a good seat if they invited her. Those young masters had already booked the best seats for the most beautiful girl in the academy. The three girls didn't give up and thought of something. One of them looked at the scholarly beauty in the room and said, "I heard that Chenqiong Academy is also participating. Young Master Qingchen will play. Are you sure you don't want to go and watch?" Xiao Hang paused in his reading. A quarter of an hour later, the most beautiful girl in Kanglan Women's Academy appeared in the Lingbo Academy's arena with a veil and a little black child. A large group of guards swarmed over. "Miss Gu, our young master has already arranged the grandstand. Miss Gu, please come with us. Miss Gu, our young master has also arranged the grandstand. Miss Gu, please come with me. Miss Gu, Miss Gu." Xiao Hang took out a piece of paper. "Where is the grandstand of Chenqiong Academy?" A well-dressed guard raised his hand and said, "Over here." "Here. Our young master has arranged the grandstand next to Chenqiong Academy." Digression, Duke. Who is this guy next to me? I don't like looking at him. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896/1078342266. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 648. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more exciting content. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found online. The Lingbo Academy's boxing field was built very carefully. The stands on both sides were slightly higher and had a relatively wide field of vision. The front and back were ordinary stands with only benches and no sheds. The closer to the middle, the better, and the more luxurious the stands were. It was no exaggeration to say that the stand was the best in the whole field. It was big and bright, and there were jade bead curtains on all sides. It looked like an elegant and luxurious pavilion. Wow! The three female students who came with Xiao Hang were stunned. This is too extravagant. There were already maids waiting in the pavilion. Seeing Xiao Hang and little Jing Kong coming over, two maids quickly opened the curtains in front. "Miss Gu, please." Xiao Hang and the others entered. It looked luxurious from the outside, but when they went in, they realized that there was nothing that they couldn't think of. A few short tables had already been set up, and there was a light incense burning in the corner. They were afraid that the smell of sweat in the boxing field would be too strong due to the hot weather, so even the incense was lit. The three female students were once again impressed by the other party's attention and thoughtfulness. "Who is your young master?" a female student asked the maid. The maid came forward with fresh fruits and answered with a smile, "My young master said that as long as you are happy, you don't have to care about who he is." Ladies. They were also included, and the three female students were overjoyed. The original words only mentioned Miss Gu, but they couldn't resist the maid's good manners. The melons and fruits had been chilled, so with one bite, the heat from the heat dissipated. Xiao Hang and little Jing Kong sat together, and the other 3 female students sat together. There was still an empty short table, so little Jing Kong ran over and took it for himself. This way, he had 1.5 tables. The bead curtains in front of the pavilion were hung up, and the other 3 curtains were used to block the wind. "It's so cool," a female student said. The other 2 nodded with a smile. It seemed that they had found the right person to look for Gu Jiao. Otherwise, how could they have gotten such good seats? Xiao Hang did not pay attention to the seats in the stands. From the moment he entered the arena, he began to look for Gu Jiao. He wasn't sure if Gu Jiao would participate. After all, he had never heard of her knowing how to use the bow. But he was worried about her, so he came over to try his luck. He didn't see Gu Jiao, but he saw Gu Xiaoshun and Gu Yen diagonally opposite him. They sat beside Headmaster Tsen, which meant that they had received Headmaster Tsen's special attention. The rest of the students sat on the bleachers. When Xiao Hang saw Gu Yen, he more or less knew that Gu Jiao was here. Otherwise, with Gu Yan's health and personality, he would never come to watch the fun for someone else. Gu Yen and Gu Xiaoshun sat on Headmaster Tsen's bleachers. There was a shed on top of the bleachers, but it couldn't be compared to Xiao Heng's pavilion. There were also no iced fruits to eat. Soon, little Jing Kong also saw the 2 of them. "Yaya! Brother Yen! Brother Xiaoshun!" Little Jing Kong was so excited that he jumped on the spot. I want to go to play." "Little Gongzi, where do you want to go? I'll bring you there." A maid smiled gently and said, "I'll go by myself." Little Jing Kong ran out. Halfway through, he turned back and picked up the iced fruits on the table. He said to his bad brother-in-law, "I'm leaving." He wanted to bring them to Brother Yen and Brother Xiaoshun. Xiao Heng didn't stop him. He couldn't have any interactions with Gu Jiao on the surface, but little Jing Kong was very familiar with people wherever he went. He wouldn't arouse suspicion. Moreover, it was really hot. Xiao Hang looked at the fruits on the table. His hands were too small, so he couldn't carry more. He kept looking until little Jing Kong made Headmaster Tsen laugh and successfully entered the inner circle. Then, he retracted his gaze and continued to pay attention to the situation on the golf course. The golf course was about to start. He didn't know when Tianqiong Academy would come out. In the attic outside the golf course, Wu Fuzi had just finished drawing lots and returned to Tianqiong Academy's wing room. Gu Jiao, Mu Qingchen, and the others had already put on protective gear and were wiping the golf clubs in their hands. "It's the 3rd round," Wu Fuzi said. "Who are we going up against this time? Is it Wu Yue Academy?" Yuan Shao asked. Yuan Shao was a student of Bright Maple Hall and was from Shengdu of Yen Kingdom. He and Zhao Wei from Bright Moon Hall were defenders, and Zhao Wei was from Chidu of Yen Kingdom. Wu Fuzi said, "Wu Yue Academy is in the 7th round. We're going up against Qingyue Academy this time." Other than Gu Jiao and Mu Qingchen, the others couldn't stay calm at the mention of Qingyue Academy. Yuan Shao was at his wits' end. "Why is it Qingyue Academy? It's better to go up against Wu Yue Academy." Gu Jiao looked at Mu Qingchen in confusion. Mu Qingchen paused and explained, "Some of the students from Qingyue Academy are from the Royal Golf Course team." Gu Jiao said, "Oh." Mu Qingchen looked at her deeply. "Aren't you afraid?" Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows. "I'm afraid they won't let me win." Mu Qingchen was speechless. He couldn't refute her words. "Zhao Wei, what's wrong with you?" Wu Fuzi sensed something was wrong with Zhao Wei. Zhao Wei clutched his stomach and said with a pale face, I think I ate something bad." Gu Jiao walked over and pinched Zhao Wei's wrist to check his pulse. "What did you eat this morning?" Zhao Wei endured the pain in his stomach and said, "I ate 2 buns." Gu Jiao pressed his stomach. "Does it hurt here?" "No." "How about here?" "It doesn't hurt either." "You did eat something bad." Gu Jiao withdrew her hand and took out a bottle of powder from the first aid kit. Swallow it with water. Zhao Wei took the medicine. On the other side, the first round of the competition began. Lingbo Academy vs Mongshan Academy. Lingbo Academy won. The second round was Maple Academy vs Wutong Academy. Wutong Academy won. It's our turn, Mu Qingchen said to Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao nodded slightly and mounted her horse. She went up the field with her classmates from Tianqiong Academy. There were a total of 2 entrances. Qinghua Academy went up first. When the royal bowler rode out in high spirits, the entire field was in an uproar. Immediately after were the 3 other team members. They were also dragons and phoenixes among men. Every time one of them appeared, Mu Qingchen introduced one to Gu Jiao. Royal bowler Su Ping, good at long-range attacks. His tactics are extremely good. No one can snatch the ball from under his stick. Tong Pang, bowler for 10 years. Nangong Lin, bowler for 8 years. Someone from the Nangong family? Gu Jiao narrowed her eyes slightly. The young master of the Nangong family, Mu Qingchen said. Gu Jiao's gaze landed on the confident and arrogant young man who waved at the audience from time to time. Nan, Gong, Lin. When the 4th person appeared, Mu Qingchen's lips moved slightly. Gu Jiao had been observing Nangong Lin and didn't notice Mu Qingchen's strange behavior. Su Hao, Mu Qingchen said. Gu Jiao acknowledged. Soon, it was their turn to go on stage. Mu Qingchen walked at the front. Young Master Qingchen was famous in Chengdu. The moment he appeared, the limelight instantly overshadowed everyone from Qinghua Academy. The young ladies present all screamed, "Young Master Qingchen! It's really young Master Qingchen! I can't believe I can see young Master Qingchen in my lifetime. Young Master Qingchen! Young Master Qingchen!" Xiao Heng's eardrums were about to explode. His 3 classmates in the pavilion were about to flip the roof off. Yuan Xiao and Mu Chuan followed behind Mu Qingchen. The 2 of them were also handsome men, but with Mu Qingchen in front, no matter how handsome and mighty they were, they could only serve as a foil to Mu Qingchen. Fortunately, they were used to it. Gu Jiao was the last to appear. She was new here and didn't have much fame. Only the birthmark on her left face made people take a second look. The players from both sides met in the center of the field. Royal bowler Su Ping looked at Mu Qingchen and said, "I can finally experience young Master Qingchen's skills. I'm really lucky." Mu Qingchen said calmly, "You're welcome." Su Hao smiled and looked at them. His gaze fell on Mu Qingchen's face, and he said with a smile, "4th brother. So you're here to participate too? Why didn't you say so earlier? If father knew, he would definitely put aside his work and come to watch 4th brother's competition." When Gu Jiao heard this, she remembered that Mu Qingchen said that his name was Su Hao. He was also a member of the Su family. Mu Chuan, who was at the side, explained to Gu Jiao in a low voice, "The 3rd young master of the Su family, my 4th brother's illegitimate brother. My aunt was angry that my uncle actually gave birth to an illegitimate son, so in a fit of anger, she made my 4th brother take her surname. This Su Hao is so annoying. He's always jealous of my 4th brother. But no matter how jealous he is, it's useless. My 4th brother is the legitimate son. So what if he changed his surname? He's still the legitimate son. My uncle dotes on my 4th brother." One could tell. Su Hao's words couldn't hide his envy and jealousy towards Mu Qingchen. Nangong Lin didn't have any personal grudges with Mu Qingchen. It was just that he was also a little jealous of Mu Qingchen. He sneered and said, "I heard that Tianqiong Academy has been quite arrogant recently. They even bullied 5 Mountains Academy." Ah, there was such a thing. The son of the deputy general of the Nangong family was seriously injured by Gu Jiao. From Nangong Lin's tone, it seemed like he wanted to seek revenge for his own people. "It's you, right, kid?" Nangong Lin looked at Gu Jiao disdainfully. The birthmark on Gu Jiao's face was too easy to recognize. Nangong Lin smiled threateningly. "Horses have no eyes. be careful not to fall. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are also updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all the novels with connotations that can't be found online here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/10783167. HTML Genius remembered the website address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Pen Fun Pavilion Mobile Version Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 649. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. On the other side, Second Master Jing finally arrived at Lingbo Academy. He didn't leave late, but he didn't expect so many people to come to watch the boxing competition. It caused the roads to Lingbo Academy to be blocked. By the time he entered the academy, the first 2 matches were already over. Why are there so many people? He muttered with sweat all over his forehead. At this moment, he had already arrived at the back of the viewing platform he had reserved. He was only a dozen steps away from reaching the viewing platform. He was a martial artist and was stronger than ordinary people. He grabbed his eldest brother along with his wheelchair and walked up the stairs step by step. Second Madam ordered a manservant to quickly follow. Second Master Jing was a person who knew how to enjoy life. He wasn't going to sit there and watch the competition in a daze and let the sun roast him. He ordered the servants to bring ice cubes, chilled fruits, and all kinds of sweet and refreshing refreshments. The viewing platform he chose naturally had an excellent view. It allowed him to see the entire boxing field. There was a roof on top, like a small pavilion, and it was ventilated on all sides. No, it was 3 sides. On his left side, there was a beaded curtain of broken jade hanging down from the place next door. He didn't ask anyone to prepare a curtain, so it must have been done by the people next door. Who is next door? Using such a high-quality curtain? Others might not know how to identify these broken jade, but how could he not recognize them? These weren't ordinary broken pieces of jade. They were whole pieces of jade that had been cut and polished into various shapes. Together with high-quality Eastern pearls, they were simply priceless, okay? Second Master Jing curiously looked to the left. Although there was a gap in the beaded curtain, it still blocked some of the view. Second Master Jing could only vaguely recognize that the people sitting next door were 4 Tsong Lan Women's Academy students. One of the students had a straight back. Her bearing and temperament were excellent. She was noble and extraordinary, exuding the aura of a flower on a high mountain. This little beauty is a bit, Second Master Jing couldn't say. At this moment, perhaps because she felt Second Master Jing's gaze, the little beauty actually turned her head to look at him. Their gazes met across the bead curtain. That was a glance that seemed to come from the peak of a snowy mountain. Second Master Jing only felt that his heart had been shaken by someone. It was too cold. This kind of beauty couldn't be touched. However, there were 3 other little beauties next door, and their figures were also extremely graceful. Especially when the 3 of them were chatting and laughing. The curtains could block the line of sight but not sound. The young girl's laughter could be heard and Second Master Jing felt comfortable all over. This is life. Second Master Jing sat down on the cushion in the middle of the pavilion and placed the Duke's wheelchair beside him. Xiaoheng didn't pay too much attention to which family's men had come next door. His attention once again returned to the boxing field. The bowers from the Qianqiong Academy entered the arena. Xiaoheng immediately saw Gu Jiao, who was ranked 4th. He also saw the young man who was whispering to Gu Jiao. Thanks to his 3 female classmates, he knew that the young man was called Mu Chuan, the legitimate son of the Mu clan and ranked 5th in the clan. Young Master Qingchen, who had caused a sensation, was his aunt's son and the legitimate son of the Su clan. Xiao Hang didn't know why he didn't take his father's surname but his mother's. After that, the two sides greeted each other. The people from the Qingyue Academy were very arrogant. Su Ping from the imperial family's Bower team was arrogant, and the young man named Nangong Lin by his side was also not to be outdone. Nangong Lin said something to Gu Jiao and frowned slightly. Why did the people from the Nangong clan find Gu Jiao? Could it be that the identity of Xiao Lulang had been exposed? With the beating of the gongs and drums, the match between the two sides began. Mu Qingchen and Su Ping drew lots. Su Ping got the chance to play the first ball and fiercely hit the ball. Each game was divided into 8 sections, each section lasting for half a quarter of an hour. If someone committed a foul or was injured in the middle, the game would be paused and continued after the match was settled. Both sides had 3 chances to change players. Su Ping was indeed an expert in long-range attacks. His shot was extremely far and crossed the center line in an instant. Everyone rushed toward the Qianqiong Academy's ball hole without stopping to rest. Su Hao hooked the ball on the ground and passed it to Tong Peng, who was not far away. The ball seemed impossible to catch, but not only did Tong Peng catch it, but he also passed the ball to Nangong Lin at lightning speed. Nangong Lin was the assistant attacker. He could pass the ball to Su Ping or score by himself. Judging from the current situation on the field, the probability of him scoring by himself was very high. But at this moment, Mu Qingchen caught up. Nangong Lin saw that the situation was not good. He quickly hit the ball and passed it to Su Ping. Su Ping didn't choose to use the club to dribble the ball. Instead, he directly threw the club and swung it out. The ball drew a beautiful arc in the air and accurately entered the hole. Beautiful! Second Master Jing clapped his hands. He was indeed a member of the royal family's archer team. That move just now was too wonderful. Gu Jiao tilted her head and looked at Su Ping. Well, he could play like that. Qingyue Academy won the first flag. The first section was not over yet, so the game continued. This time, Qianqiong Academy started the game. Yuan Xiao, you're up, Mu Qingchen said. I'm nervous. Yuan Xiao was suppressed by the opponent's tactics and aura. Mu Qingchen said, It's okay. Just hit the ball. Yuan Xiao swallowed his saliva and resisted the trembling of his hands. He swung the club first. Mu Chuan quickly followed. Mu Qingchen glanced at Gu Jiao. He didn't say anything, but all the trust in her was written in his eyes. Then, he didn't even look to see whether his team members had caught the ball or not. He rushed toward the opponent's hole. Second Master Jing was stunned. Are you kidding me? Isn't that too bold? What if the ball is intercepted and you run so far away? How can you save the game? Nangong Lin and Su Hao exchanged glances. The two of them rushed toward Mu Chuan in a pincer attack. They wanted to interfere with Mu Chuan and make sure he couldn't catch the ball without fouling. Mu Chuan was attacked from both sides. He cried out, Ah! You two bastards! Why are you coming at me? Nangong Lin's lips curled up and he went to snatch Mu Chuan's ball. He was very fast. But someone was faster than him. He didn't even see what was going on before a club took Mu Chuan's ball away. Nangong Lin was slightly stunned. He turned his head and saw Gu Jiao's indifferent expression. Gu Jiao glanced at him indifferently. Without saying a word, she threw the club and hit the ball in her hand with a backhand. Everyone was stunned. Wait, wasn't this the same move that Su Ping used just now? Even the action of throwing the club and catching it with a backhand was exactly the same. Was Su Ping being secretly learned on the spot? Su Ping was shocked. This was a unique skill that he had practiced for many years. It was handsome and valiant. Not only could it be used to win, but it could also be used to show off. No one had ever learned it. How did this kid learn it? He was quite good at it. Xiao Hang stared at Gu Jiao without blinking. Under the sunlight, his girl was very eye-catching. His blood was boiling. Gu Jiao's ball was also very far away. It was very similar to Su Ping's curve. Mu Qingchen successfully got the ball and held it in. Tianqiong Academy got a flag. At the end of the first section, both sides got a piece each. This result was somewhat unexpected. Although Mu Qingchen was the first young master of Shang City, no one had heard that he had any extraordinary talent in archery. No one expected him to play so well. However, the one who left the deepest impression was probably the kid with the birthmark on his face. How could he be so brazen as to steal their skills? How could he be so shameless? Just when everyone thought that Gu Jiao was already very shameless, she did something even more shameless. In the following game, as long as Nan Gonglin attacked, she would stop and not give a single ball to Nan Gonglin. However, as long as Su Ping attacked, she would watch obediently. Not only did she not snatch the ball, but she also did not allow her companions to snatch it. She was very fierce. Su Ping was like a child that she was quietly protecting. Every time he scored a goal, the light of excitement could be seen in her eyes. Then, with a turn of her head, she used Su Ping's moves one by one. Su Ping's face turned green. "Referee!" he shouted. "Can't I learn?" Gu Jiao asked innocently. The referee choked. There was no such rule. "You can learn from me," Gu Jiao looked at Su Ping and said shamelessly. Su Ping almost vomited blood. "Learn from you? What is there to learn? You little noob." However, it was this thick-skinned noob who learned all of Su Ping's skills. The referee couldn't bear to watch. Dean Sen of Tianqiong Academy was strongly despised by the other deans. He raised his hand and weakly covered his head. "Cough, I stole from you based on my ability. If you have the ability, you can steal from me too. Can we King steal from you? Do you think we haven't stolen from you before? We don't know how to steal from you. What kind of pervert is this kid?" When it was Su Ping's turn to kick off, he suddenly sneezed due to his nose allergy. Then, Gu Jiao also sneezed loudly with the cue stick before kicking off. Everyone. At the end of the sixth section, the score was 17-17. It was a tie. Gu Jiao did not score many goals. She usually passed the ball to Mu Qingchen, but she became the focus of the game with her ability. "Why is he like this?" In Xiao Heng's pavilion, a female student muttered. Another female student said, "But I'm so happy to see young Master Qingchen win." A third female student said with a smile, "That's right. They cooperate so well. They're so compatible." Xiao Heng's face darkened. Next door, Second Master Jing was also shocked by Gu Jiao's actions. He had watched bowls for many years, but this was the first time he had seen someone so brazenly steal from him. "Big brother, did you see that? This kid. Oh my God." Halfway through his sentence, Second Master Jing turned his head and saw that his big brother's eyes were open. His eyes were bright and clear. He was so scared that he fell to the ground. He was just complaining to his big brother. He didn't think that his big brother could really open his eyes. It was very scary, okay? No. He calmed himself down and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He sat back on the cushion with lingering fear. "Big brother, when did you open your eyes? You should at least make a sound. It seems like you don't know how to make a sound." Forget it. His big brother was like a zombie. He couldn't hear him. Occasionally, he would open his eyes, but it was just an unintentional movement. He couldn't see at all. He understood all of this. "Big brother, are you hot? Do you want me to fan you?" As he spoke, he picked up the folding fan on the table and stretched it in front of his big brother. The High Duke's vision was completely blocked by the fan. As Second Master Jing fanned himself, he suddenly felt a chill on his neck. "Why does it feel like someone wants to kill me?" The seventh round of the competition began. Su Ping didn't know if it was because he didn't have any special skills to let Gu Jiao learn, or because he didn't dare to use his special skills. In short, he played relatively conservatively in this round. He thought that Gu Jiao would be as conservative as him. Unfortunately, he was wrong. Gu Jiao only learned the good things. She didn't learn the bad things. Tianqiong Academy launched an attack and won 2 chess pieces in a row. Qinghua Academy stopped the competition. Change players. Nan Gonglin and the rest returned to the waiting area. Qinghua Academy's teacher said, "How did you guys play? Why didn't you attack?" Su Ping was speechless. The teacher said, "Su Ping, take a rest first. You can play in the last round." Su Ping sighed. Yes. Qinghua Academy's substitute was also a good archer. However, he was better at defense. Thus, Nan Gonglin took over Su Ping's position and became the main archer. He looked coldly at Gu Jiao on the field. He wouldn't let this kid have his way. He would definitely score and win this game. "I'm going to the toilet," he said to the teacher. "Go, hurry up. It's time to play," the teacher reminded. Yes. Nan Gonglin left the waiting area. Chenxiong Academy's people were waiting on the other side. He snapped his fingers. An accompanying secret guard came to him and cupped his hands. "Young master." Nan Gonglin looked at Gu Jiao and said coldly, "I want him to fall off the horse." The secret guard hesitated. "This?" Nan Gonglin said coldly. "Why? Can't you do it?" The secret guard cupped his hands. "I can do it." Nan Gonglin smiled proudly. "That's good. Remember, make it look like he accidentally fell off the horse. Don't let anyone see through it." The secret guard replied, "Yes, young master." After the break, they went on the field again. Nan Gonglin stood in the position of the main attacker. Mu Qingchen looked at him deeply and reminded Gu Jiao, "Be careful." Gu Jiao replied calmly, "Okay." The game started. Qinghua Academy kicked off. Nan Gonglin got the ball. Gu Jiao rode on the horse and chased after him. Nan Gonglin was not in a hurry to throw the ball. Instead, he dribbled the ball and led Gu Jiao to the secret guard's position. The spectators who could not get a seat stood at the edge of the field. The secret guard was hidden in this group of people. Everyone was so engrossed in the game that no one noticed that he was holding a small stone in his hand. At this moment, Second Master Jing had already stood up and leaned on the railing. He also pushed his eldest brother out. The secret guard was diagonally below them. If he glanced at him, he would definitely see him. However, the game on the field was so exciting. Who would pay attention to a group of spectators? The High Duke's hand began to twitch slightly. "Quick, quick, quick. Quickly chase after him. You're quite good at beating people up. Why are you so weak now?" Second Master Jing shouted at Gu Jiao. He did not notice his eldest brother's strange behavior. The High Duke's body also began to tremble violently. "Second Master." The High Duke The servant noticed the High Duke's strange behavior. Second Master Jing hurriedly looked at his eldest brother. Seeing his eldest brother trembling like this, he was frightened. He squatted down and held his eldest brother's wheelchair. "Eldest brother, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" The High Duke's mouth twitched, as if he wanted to say something. Second Master Jing scratched his head. "Is the game too intense? You don't like it? Let's watch a little longer, okay? Just a little longer." Nan Gonglin ran to the inner circle and squeezed Gu Jiao out. The secret guard was about to make a move. The High Duke trembled like a sieve. His gaze was as cold as ice. Was eldest brother angry? Second Master Jing was confused. He did not know if his guess was right. But on second thought, other than this, could there be anything else? Second Master Jing stood up and pushed his eldest brother's wheelchair. He sighed, "Fine, fine, fine. If you don't want to watch, I'll bring you back now." The High Duke trembled even more. Second Master Jing suddenly had an illusion. Why did it seem like his eldest brother wanted to kill him? Nan Gonglin slowed down slightly so that the secret guard could hit the ball smoothly. Gu Jiao appeared in the perfect attacking range. The secret guard suddenly shot the small stone in his hand. The small stone went straight for Gu Jiao's major acupuncture point on her waist. It would not leave a scar or be fatal. It would only numb half of Gu Jiao's body. In the next second, something unbelievable happened. Gu Jiao suddenly bent down to snatch the ball. The secret guard's expression changed. It was too late to stop her. The small stone flashed past Gu Jiao's back and hit Nan Gonglin, who was at the side. Nan Gonglin did not even have time to scream. His body went numb and he fell off the horse in a panic. And because he had slowed down, the bowmen behind him had caught up. They were Mu Chuan and the Qingwei Academy students. Mu Chuan's horse was not as fast as the Qingwei Academy students. But because the Qingwei Academy students were too fast, it was too late to tighten the reins. The Qingwei Academy students watched helplessly as their horses stepped over Nan Gonglin's body. They heard a shocking scream. Nan Gonglin's chest and leg bones were broken on the spot. Digression: Jiao Jiao has a serious competition today. Can I reward Jiao Jiao with a monthly ticket? The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/896428266/1078116553. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 650. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found online here. After Nan Gonglin was trampled by the horse's hooves, Mu Chuan quickly tightened the reins in his hands. He didn't run at his maximum speed. With the tight reins, he managed to deviate his direction and galloped past Nan Gonglin. After galloping for more than 10 steps, his horse finally came to a stop. The situation between him and the Qingwei Academy student was like this. Gu Jiao went to snatch Nan Gonglin's ball, and he chased after her relentlessly. He wanted to attack Nan Gonglin from both sides with Gu Jiao. In order to prevent him from doing so, the Qingwei Academy student suddenly sped up and tried to use his horse to block his path. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? After Nan Gonglin's shrill scream, the entire venue fell silent. The referee hurried over. He squatted down and looked at Nan Gonglin, whose face was contorted in pain. He was shocked for a moment. Nan Gonglin, how are you? What else could Nan Gonglin do? He was in so much pain that he wanted to die, okay? He was a martial artist and had suffered a lot of physical pain since he was young. However, he had never been so ruthless. His entire chest seemed to have caved in, and the bones in his thighs were broken. Every breath he took felt like a knife was stabbing into his lungs. Nan Gonglin's secret guard was also stunned. He swore to the heavens that he was aiming at that guy from Qianqiong Academy. He had never thought of hurting his young master. Gu Jiao's horse also stopped. She rode over slowly and looked down at the seriously injured Nan Gonglin. "Oh, you're injured. Can you still play in the competition?" Listen, listen, listen. What kind of tone was this? Was she gloating? Nan Gonglin glared at Gu Jiao with bloodshot eyes as he suffered from the excruciating pain. He said to the referee, "It's him. He's the one who harmed me." The referee looked at Gu Jiao. When the audience heard this, they all looked at the new student from Qianqiong Academy. Mu Chuan refuted, "Hey, Nan Gonglin. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't speak whatever you want. How did the people of the Qianqiong Academy harm you? You were the one who fell down. Was it someone from your own academy who stepped on you? What does that have to do with us?" The student who stepped on Nan Gonglin was at a loss. I didn't do it on purpose." Of course, Nan Gonglin knew that he didn't do it on purpose, but this Xiao Lulang must have. Nan Gonglin gritted his teeth and said, why did you suddenly bend over to grab the ball? He didn't snatch it earlier or later. Instead, he followed him all the way. Whenever he schemed against him, he would snatch it. Who would dare to say that there was nothing fishy going on? Gu Jiao said confidently, you slowed down, so of course I have to snatch the ball. Everyone paused. That's right, Nan Gonglin did suddenly slow down just now. If they didn't snatch it when he slowed down, were they supposed to snatch it when Nan Gonglin accelerated? Was there something wrong with his head? There was no problem with the Qianqiong Academy's operation. You. Nan Gonglin vomited a mouthful of blood. It was unknown whether it was due to injury or anger. Why did Nan Gonglin slow down? Wasn't it to make it easier for the secret guards to sneak an attack on Gu Jiao? He couldn't explain it, even if he still couldn't figure it out now. He was wondering why this kid took the bait so easily. Wherever he led, he would follow. He didn't even snatch the ball all the way. This kid clearly snatched the ball quite quickly in front of him. He thought that it was because his skills were superb that this kid couldn't snatch it. Now, it seemed that this kid did it on purpose. He saw that Nan Gonglin was going to scheme against him, so he pretended to fall into the trap and revealed a flaw. At the crucial moment, he let Nan Gonglin fall into his trap. But Nan Gonglin couldn't say any of this. If he wanted to prove that this kid was scheming against him, he had to admit that he was scheming against this kid. Cheating would make him lose the right to participate in the competition forever. It would also make him the laughingstock of the whole city. He couldn't afford to lose this face. Therefore, he could only swallow his pride. After Nan Gonglin vomited another mouthful of blood, his consciousness started to blur, and his breathing became difficult and rapid. Could Gu Jiao cure him? The answer was yes, but why would she cure him? Was she going to wait for him to come over and kill her? If she hadn't dodged just now, she would be the one with broken bones and a pneumothorax. Mu Qingchen rode his horse to Gu Jiao's side and asked in a low voice, "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Gu Jiao said. Mu Qingchen glanced at Nan Gonglin, who was being carried off, and said to Gu Jiao, "Focus on the competition. Don't think too much." "Okay." Gu Jiao nodded. After Nan Gonglin was carried off the field, his companion who stepped on him also had a mental breakdown. He couldn't continue the competition and was replaced by a teacher from Qinghua Academy. After such a big incident, it was reasonable to say that the mentality of the students from Qianqiong Academy should be somewhat affected. However, it wasn't. It was just that they were all quite thick-skinned. The 7th section ended with Qianqiong Academy winning another flag. The score was 20-17. Qinghua Academy was 17. In the last section, Su Ping went on the field. He had to score 3 goals to equalize the score. If there was only one Xiao Lulang or only one Mu Qingchen, he could give it a try. However, it was a bit difficult to deal with the two of them together. That guy called Xiao Lulang was 2F*King annoying. If he used his unique skill, he was afraid that the guy would steal it. If he didn't use his unique skill, he was afraid that he would lose the competition. Su Ping had never played such a difficult game. In the end, Su Ping decided to go all out. Then, a strange scene happened. Not only did the 4 players from Qianqiong Academy not fight for the ball, they even fed it to Su Ping. "Your shot wasn't good." Su Ping almost couldn't catch it, Mu Chuan said to the students from Qinghua Academy after feeding Su Ping a ball. The students from Qinghua Academy were confused. Wait, what kind of move was that? The students from Qianqiong Academy looked at Gu Jiao with this expression. Anyway, she was leading by 3 flags. There was no hurry. She could learn slowly. It didn't matter if she lost points. Su Ping was so angry that he almost had a heart attack. What kind of experience was it when the opponents were collectively shameless? Indeed, only Su Ping could defeat Su Ping. Gu Jiao performed superbly. Using the Su style and Mu Qingchen's strong combination, they finally won the competition with a score of 23-20. This might not be the most perfect battle strategy, nor was it the most difficult battle, but it was definitely the most talked about battle. Young Master Qingchen's appearance was killer. A freshman from Tianqiong Academy stole from the opponent and crushed the opponent. Was this the distortion of human nature or the decay of morality? Young Master Nangong fell off the horse and was seriously injured. His life was uncertain, and his future was uncertain. Although there were many outstanding and famous scenes in the competition after that, the crowd didn't seem to be as excited as they had imagined. Was there something wrong with Tianqiong Academy? After seeing their shameless fighting style, looking at other people's fighting style, they felt a little too serious. Something was wrong with them. Fourth brother, congratulations on entering the next round of the competition. In the attic for the players to rest, Su Hao came to Tianqiong Academy's room and congratulated Mu Qingchen with a smile. Mu Chuan raised his eyebrows and said, "What's there to congratulate? Come and congratulate us after we get first place." So fourth brother's goal is to get first place. Su Hao smiled and said to Mu Qingchen, "Then I'll congratulate fourth brother in advance for getting first place. If father knows, he will definitely be happy for fourth brother." Fourth brother once said that he would never bow again. Father has been sad for a long time because of this. Why won't he bow again? Gu Jiao asked. Su Hao turned to look at Gu Jiao and said pleasantly, "My fourth brother once lost to someone, and then he swore never to bow again." "I didn't ask you," Gu Jiao said to Su Hao. Su Hao was stunned. Mu Chuan said impatiently, "Nangong Lin from your academy is already so injured, why do you still have the time to wander around here? Don't you have to show concern for your classmates?" Yuan Shao didn't rebuke Su Hao. He just opened the door very politely. Su Hao was speechless. After the end of the first day of the competition, it was time to announce the list of qualified students. Every qualified student of the academy had to ride around the field. When the name of Tianqiong Academy was announced, Mu Qingchen, Yuan Shao, Mu Chuan, and Gu Jiao rode on their horses and slowly entered the field from the passage. Everyone's eyes fell on them. Admittedly, Mu Qingchen still received the most attention, but Gu Jiao was ranked above Yuan Shao and the legitimate son of the Mu family. She received the most attention, second only to Mu Qingchen. Xiao Heng's gaze fell on Gu Jiao, and Gu Jiao also looked at Xiao Heng. Their gazes met in mid-air, and in just an instant, they gently moved away. In the eyes of outsiders, Xiao Heng was looking at the people of Tianqiong Academy, while Gu Jiao was looking at the audience in the stands. Gu Jiao quickly looked elsewhere, while Xiao Heng lowered his eyes, picked up the tea on the table, and took a sip. "That freshman from Tianqiong Academy seemed to be looking over here just now? Was he looking at us?" A female student in the pavilion asked. "Was he?" Another female student looked at Gu Jiao. "He didn't look." "Yes, he took a look. He was just curious, right?" "So, he didn't take a fancy to the prettiest girl in our academy? Finally, a guy doesn't like her." The three of them laughed in a low voice. Xiao Heng drank his tea silently. How would you know how much restraint and longing she had when she looked at him? On the other side, little Jing Kong bid farewell to Dean Sen of Tianqiong Academy, as well as his new friends, Gu Xiaoshun and Gu Yan. Little Jing Kong could wait for Gu Jiao to come over and get to know her, but even he knew that he couldn't have any interactions with Gu Jiao on the surface. Talking to Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshun was already the limit of what he could do on the surface. "Uncle Dean, I'm leaving. I'll come and play with you during the next competition." Dean Sen smiled and patted the kid's head. "Okay, I'll definitely come next time." Little Jing Kong held the big empty bowl that used to be filled with melons and fruits. He held back his strong longing for Gu Jiao and left resolutely. Dean Sen left the spectators stand with Gu Xiaoshun and Gu Yan and went to the entrance of Lingbo Academy to meet up with Gu Jiao and the others. "You won't always be so lucky." It was a fighter from Wuyue Academy. He was shouting at Gu Jiao, Mu Qingchen, and the others. Mu Chuan crossed his arms and sneered. "I don't know if we're lucky or not, but Wuyue Academy doesn't seem to be lucky. You're eliminated in the first round." Yuan Shaoshan added, "Wuyue Academy didn't rely on luck. They relied on their strength. They lost because of their strength." What kind of heart-wrenching truth was this? The guy from Wiwe Academy was so angry that he walked away with smoke coming out of his 7 orifices. Take care. I won't send you off. Mu Chuan smiled and waved his hand. Sigh, I can finally hold my head high. I was bullied by those bastards in the past. It's a pity that I didn't meet them today. Otherwise, I would have beaten them to a pulp. Mu Qingchen looked at him speechlessly and said to Gu Jiao, Shall we take the carriage or ride the horse? Ride the horse. It was very stuffy in the carriage. They got on the horses. After Gu Yan, Dean Sen, and the others got on the carriage, they left Lingbo Academy together. Is it okay? Gu Jiao asked Gu Yan. Gu Yan leaned against the window and nodded at Gu Jiao, who was riding the horse beside him. Yes, it's good. I'll come again next time. Gu Jiao twirled the reins in her hand. Okay. On the other side, Second Master Jing also got on the carriage and came out. He had a feast for his eyes today. He enjoyed watching the competition. It was even more enjoyable to watch the competition with the little beauties next door. Listening to the 3 girls talking and laughing, he felt that he was more than 10 years younger. This is what life is like. It's so hot. Second Master Jing opened the window and hung up the front curtain. He and his eldest brother were both men. There was no need to avoid being seen by others. It was too hot. He moved a small stool and sat at the door of the carriage. He fanned himself with his folding fan. At this moment, Dean Sen and the others came over. Dean Sen and Mu Qingchen recognized the House of Duke's carriage. Dean Sen stopped the carriage and bowed to the 2 people in the carriage. Duke. Second Master Jing. Mu Qingchen also greeted them. Second Master Jing was panicking from the heat. He waved his hand perfunctorily and exchanged a few words with the 2. Behind him, the Duke's hand shook again. Unfortunately, he did not see it. Then, if there's nothing else, we'll take our leave. Dean Sen said. Goodbye. Second Master Jing smiled. Dean Sen looked at Gu Jiao. Let's go. The group of people brushed past the House of Duke's carriage. No one expected that the Duke in the wheelchair would suddenly have blue veins on his forehead. No one knew where he got the strength, but he suddenly threw the wheelchair at Second Master Jing. Ah! Second Master Jing was caught off guard. He fell out of the carriage and rolled on the ground. Coincidentally, he rolled in front of Gu Jiao's horse. Second Master Jing, who fell flat on his face, was speechless. Eldest brother, do you have to trick your younger brother like this? Gu Jiao looked at Second Master Jing strangely. Then, she looked at the Duke, who fell out of the wheelchair. She saw the Duke, who was unable to move in the carriage. Suddenly, his mouth twitched and his eyes slanted. It was as if he was saying, I fell, so miserable. Digression. Regarding the rules of bowing in the novel, it is based on the rules of modern polo matches. However, it is not exactly the same. There are some changes. The latest chapter of the book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that cannot be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/896428826/1078069050. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com BQ Go mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. Chapter 651. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Everyone was stunned by the Duke's miserable state. Whether he fell or was miserable, they didn't understand at the moment. Their minds were filled with one thought: wasn't the Duke unconscious? Did he get better? The news of the Duke falling and becoming a living dead wasn't a secret in the capital. All these years, in order to wake the Duke up, the Duke's residents had visited many famous doctors. It was said that not long ago, they even invited the disciple of divine Dr. Luo from Chan country to treat the Duke. Could it be that divine Dr. Luo's disciple was the reincarnation of Hua Tuo? Gu Xiaoshun didn't know anything about the Duke's residence and only thought that the Duke was an ordinary person. He stuck his head out of the carriage window to take a look and was speechless. Lu Lang, he fell so miserably. Do you want me to take a look at him? Ever since he found out that Xiao Hang and Gu Jiao had exchanged identities, in order to minimize the interaction with his original identity, Gu Xiaoshun no longer called Gu Jiao brother-in-law and directly addressed him by his name. Gu Yen also stuck his head out of the window. Both of their heads were pressed together and it was quite crowded. Gu Yen looked at the way the Duke looked at Gu Jiao and frowned in confusion. Gu Jiao got down from the horse. The others didn't know that Gu Jiao knew about medicine and were very surprised when they saw her walking towards the Duke. What was she doing? Second Master Jing regained his senses from the fall. He stood up like a carp and rushed up the horse carriage in front of Gu Jiao. Big brother, why did you fall? Let me help you up. Second Master Jing showed his powerful Qilin arm strength to his big brother and then he received a death stare from his big brother. He didn't know what was going on. The Duke was helped back to the wheelchair by Second Master Jing. Gu Jiao wanted to get on the carriage. Second Master Jing stretched out his hand to stop her and asked sternly, "What are you doing here?" This stinking brat who would attack people at the drop of a hat was obviously a dangerous person. He must not be allowed to get close to Big Brother. Gu Jiao said indifferently, "I'll take a look at him." Second Master Jing said angrily, "You quack. I won't let you treat my big brother." Second Master Jing received the second wave of death stares from his eldest brother. Second Master Jing resentfully rubbed his nose and whispered to his eldest brother, "Eldest brother, don't be afraid. I won't let him get on the carriage." Second Master Jing received the third wave of death stares from his eldest brother. Gu Jiao was not in a hurry to speak. She only glanced at Second Master Jing. It was this seemingly casual glance that caused Second Master Jing's heart to involuntarily rise with the fear of being dominated by his brother-in-law. He cowered in a second. "For young Master Qingchen's sake, I'll reluctantly let you take a look at my eldest brother." Gu Jiao got into the carriage. "Make way." Gu Jiao said to Second Master Jing, "You're blocking the light. This is my own carriage. Why should I? I'll make way. I won't bicker with you." Second Master Jing heroically jumped off the carriage. "You get off too." He pulled the coachman off the carriage. He made himself the scapegoat. "Xiaoshun, give me the first aid kit," Gu Jiao said. Gu Xiaoshun took out the first aid kit from her bag and agilely jumped off the carriage, handing it over to Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao did not bring her medicine box when she went out in case of emergencies. She brought a first aid kit with emergency medicine, a flashlight, and silver needles inside. Gu Jiao first took the Duke's pulse, then turned on the flashlight and shone it into the Duke's eyes. She used her body to block the light, so the others did not see what she was using to diagnose the Duke's illness. But looking at her posture, she really did look like a doctor. Mu Qingchen frowned slightly and turned to look at Gu Yen in the carriage beside him. "Xiao Lulang really knows medicine?" Gu Yen leaned against the window and snorted, "He's really good." Then last time she... Mu Qingchen thought of the situation when Gu Jiao went to the Duke's residence to treat the Duke's illness. She said that Mu Ru Xian's silver needles were crooked. Could it be that she was right? If Mu Ru Xian's silver needles were crooked, how good could her medical skills be? If her medical skills were not good, how could she make the Duke's illness better? In a flash, Mu Qingchen's mind had already thought of many things. Mu Chuan and the others were also very surprised. Mu Chuan's eyes widened. "I didn't know that Xiao Lu also knows medicine?" "Xiao Lu?" Gu Xiaoshuan's face was full of confusion. When did his sister have such a nickname? The Duke's pupils were equally big and reacted to the light source. His cornea's reflection was also normal. This showed that his face was not twitching unconsciously. Even if he was not completely awake, at least he was out of a deep coma. Last time when she bandaged him, he seemed to be able to react to the outside world a little through his fingers. But it was not as big as today's progress. Gu Jiao was sure that the Duke was getting better. Although she was not sure if the reason for his improvement was Mu Ru Xian's treatment or something else. But his physical functions and nerve reflexes were still very poor. This was the after effect of his brain injury. Gu Jiao could not say for the time being whether he could speak or whether he could completely recover. Gu Jiao put the used cotton swabs and silver needles into a separate pouch. After packing up the first aid kit, she planned to get off the carriage. As soon as she moved, she felt a slight tug. She looked back and saw that the Duke's trembling fingers had unknowingly grabbed the corner of her clothes. Speaking of which, it was strange. She was someone who could push the door latch off, yet she was pulled by such a weak force. She frowned strangely. Then she looked at the Duke and asked, "Do you feel any discomfort?" The Duke could not speak, so he just held on and did not let go. Gu Jiao checked him again. He was almost out of strength. His fingers were trembling, but he still used the last of his strength to not let go. Gu Jiao did not understand this phenomenon. Was it just an irregular muscle reflex? Gu Jiao thought about it and took out a candy from the first aid kit. She opened the Duke's palm and let him hold the candy. After the archery competition ended, the contestants left one after another. The spectators also left one after another. Xiao Hang did not like to squeeze with others. When the 3 female classmates suggested that they go back to the academy, he let them go first. "It's strange. You were so enthusiastic when you came. Why didn't you hurry to leave? Don't tell me you're meeting someone behind our backs?" A female student gossiped. Xiao Hang did not look at her. He picked up the teacup and drank the tea. The female student curled her lips. "Humph, still ignoring us. Forget it. Let's go. I thought we had a special relationship after sitting with her for a day. She doesn't like us at all." The 3 of them muttered and rolled their eyes as they walked down the stands. Little Jing Kong held the railing of the stands with his hands. His little head was in the gap of the railing, and he sighed. Jiao Jiao. He did not even talk to Jiao Jiao. He missed Jiao Jiao so much. But there were still 10 days before the holiday. Going to school was too cruel for children. When almost all the people left, Xiao Hang stood up. He held little Jing Kong's hand and walked down. "Miss Gu, please wait." A maidservant caught up with him. This was the maidservant who had been accompanying Xiao Hang in the pavilion earlier. She didn't call out to Xiao Hang earlier, nor did she call out to Xiao Hang later. She only called out to Xiao Hang after everyone had left. Xiao Hang did not believe that she had no purpose. Xiao Hang looked at her and asked with his eyes, "What's the matter?" The maid smiled and respectfully said, "My young master is actually here today, but he didn't show up in the stands. It's dinner time now, so my young master wants to invite Miss Gu to the lake to enjoy the lake scenery of Chengdu." Xiao Hang signaled little Jing Kong with his eyes. Little Jing Kong bitterly took out a charcoal pencil and a small notebook from his pocket and handed them to Xiao Hang. They were the same as Gu Jiao Jiao's. Xiao Hang wrote, "Who is your master?" The maid replied with a smile, "Miss Gu, you'll know when you get there." "Is it fun to go to the lake?" Little Jing Kong asked. The maid said with a smile, "It's fun. You can fish, enjoy the lanterns, and put lotus lanterns on the lake." Little Jing Kong's 2 little arms fluttered behind him. "I want to go. I want to go." Xiao Heng gave the little guy a look. "Oh, don't go. It's getting late. I should go back," he wrote. The maidservant was stunned. She didn't expect that even after her young master had revealed such extraordinary strength, this young Miss Gu would still be indifferent to him. She was a well-trained maid. She quickly came to her senses and said, "It's getting late. How about I arrange someone to send Miss Gu back to the academy?" It was only 2 steps to go back to the academy. Little Jing Kong hung on his thigh and said, "I can't walk anymore. Do you want to carry me?" Xiao Heng finally agreed to sit in the maid's carriage. He didn't know who that young master was to be able to reserve the best viewing platform and watch the entire competition without showing himself. He was even able to stealthily drive a seemingly inconspicuous but extremely luxurious carriage into the Lingbo Academy's field. Xiao Heng got down from the viewing platform. He was taken into the carriage before he could walk. The carriage was made of Phoebe, also known as dragon wood. It was said that Phoebe could last for thousands of years. Princess Xinyang liked to collect this kind of wood. The carriage was escorted by 4 guards. Xiao Hang could not tell the depth of their kung fu, but he felt that they were similar to the dragon shadow guards of the Zhao kingdom. So they were the men of sacrifice of the Yan kingdom, and they were very powerful. Little Jing Kong wasn't lying when he said that he couldn't walk. He had been playing all day and hadn't taken a nap. As soon as he got into the carriage, he fell asleep on Xiao Heng's body. The carriage went out of the academy. He had only taken a few steps when he heard the maid on the outside of the carriage call out exaggeratedly, "Young master?" This script was clumsy. Xiao Heng frowned and poked little Jing Kong's face. He was sleeping so soundly. "Master, why are you here?" The maid continued to act. Xiao Hang sat in the carriage and did not even lift his eyelids, let alone lift the curtain to greet the master. Ahem. The master cleared his throat. Maybe he gave the maid a look. The maid turned around and lifted the curtain slightly. She said to Xiao Heng, "Miss Gu, my master would like to see you." The gap between the curtain and the curtain was just enough for Xiao Hang to see the master in the brocade robe. It was also enough for the master to see the first beauty in the gauze dress. Xiao Hang was wearing a veil, which covered a little of his face. He could vaguely see the outline of his face. Coupled with his pair of unparalleled eyes, it was obvious that he was devastatingly beautiful. Xiao Hang glanced at the other party indifferently and slammed the curtain down. The maid was so frightened that she knelt on the outside of the carriage. The master in the brocade robe did not get angry. He cupped his hands and smiled. "I was rude. Please forgive me, Miss Gu." Saying this, he stepped aside and gave the coachman a look, allowing the carriage to pass in front of him. The wheels of the carriage started to turn. A guard in brocade robe said, "My Royal Highness, she doesn't know how to appreciate kindness. You've already done so much for her. How dare she give you such a cold shoulder? I heard that she's just a citizen of the lower country." Royal Prince Ming smiled and looked at the departing carriage. He said confidently, "She's a beauty. It's inevitable that she's arrogant and willful. It's okay. I have plenty of patience." Their voices were not loud. An ordinary woman would not be able to hear them. However, Xiao Hang had excellent hearing since she was young. Xiao Heng's brows furrowed. This person was a royal prince? If Gu Jiao was here, she would definitely recognize him as the Crown Prince, Royal Prince Ming, who had appeared at Chenqiong Academy. "My Royal Prince." Another guard walked over. "You're back." Royal Prince Ming asked, "How's Nan Gonglin?" The guard reported in a low voice, "Nan Gonglin's condition is not good." After he returned, he kept saying that the boy from Chenqiong Academy was scheming against him. He asked for your help. Royal Prince Ming said thoughtfully, "Help me get rid of that boy? It's not a difficult task. However, he's Qingchen's classmate. Remember to keep your hands clean. Don't let Qingchen find out." The guard cupped his hands. "Yes, my royal prince." Xiao Heng suddenly knocked on the door. The maid asked, "Miss Gu, what can I do for you?" Xiao Heng took out a pen and paper and wrote, "I have something to say to your master." The maid's eyes lit up. She quickly asked the coachman to turn the carriage around. Royal Prince Ming was surprised to see the beauty's carriage return. Xiao Hang lifted the curtain of the carriage slightly and looked at Royal Prince Ming coldly. Being stared at by a beauty, even if it was just a cold gaze, was enough to make one's heart flutter. Royal Prince Ming smiled. "Miss Gu, are you looking for me?" Xiao Heng looked hesitant. Royal Prince Ming looked at the worry on the beauty's face and felt his heart clench. "Miss Gu, are you in trouble?" Xiao Hang hesitated for a moment and wrote, "It's indeed a little troublesome. However, I don't know if I should say it." Royal Prince Ming said, "Miss Gu, please say it." Xiao Hang looked conflicted and wrote, "The young master of the Nan Gonglin family is always bothering me." Royal Prince Ming's face darkened. Nan Gonglin. Xiao Hang sighed while the space between his brows seemed to be frowning, and his eyes were filled with helplessness and the hardships of his life. He wrote, "Forget it. Just pretend I didn't say anything. The Nan Gonglin family is extremely powerful. I shouldn't have put the young master in a difficult position. However, it's just my hard life." Digression. Master of T23333. What is a good script? Jiao Jiao, you should learn from it. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with a deeper meaning that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/896428226/1077922207. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 652. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. All the novels that can't be found online will be available here. Some words should not be said too much and should be left blank. This way, the other party's imagination would be given space to continue to wander. After Xiao Hang finished writing the last sentence, he left in the carriage, leaving Commandery Prince Ming standing in place with a cold expression. "Commandery Prince." The guard beside him called out, "Are you all right? What can happen to me?" Commandery Prince Ming said coldly. When the guard heard this, he knew that he was angry. The guard hesitated for a moment and said what he thought. "Commandery Prince, what Miss Gu said may not be true. You can't believe everything." The guard did not dare to covet the #1 beauty of the Kanglin Women's Academy, so he could look at the problem from an objective point of view. Commandery Prince Ming did not think so. He glanced at the guard coldly and said, "Do you mean that she is lying to me?" The guard said, "I just think that it is better to be cautious." Commandery Prince Ming snorted and said, "She is just a weak woman from a lower country. She has no one to rely on in Shangdu. Would she dare to slander the Nangong family? Moreover, she is a girl. Would she speak without thinking to slander a man? Would she even disregard her reputation? A woman's reputation was greater than heaven." Commandery Prince Ming narrowed his eyes dangerously and said, "Nangong Lin knows that I am interested in her, but he still dares to steal my woman. Very good, very good." The guard opened his mouth and said, "Commandery Prince, why don't I go and check it out?" Commandery Prince Ming snorted and said, "Can you find out about Nangong Lin? He covets the woman this prince wants behind this prince's back. Does he have the guts to leave any traces behind? If Miss Gu had not told me today, I don't know how long I would have been kept in the dark." Commandery Prince Ming believed Xiao Heng's words for a reason. Apart from the 2 points he mentioned, the beauty had no enmity with Nangong Lin. Why would she frame him? This would not benefit her at all. In comparison, it was more likely that Nangong Lin would pester her. Even he, the dignified duke of the crown prince's residence, was smitten by a beauty. Was Nangong Lin's willpower better than him, or was his vision better than him? How could he not be moved by a beauty? Because of this, Commandery Prince Ming chose to believe in Xiao Heng. The guard had followed Commandery Prince Ming for a long time and naturally understood his personality. There were some things that Commandery Prince Ming was really clever, but there were also some things that he thought himself to be clever. He didn't waste his breath trying to persuade him any further. Then should I? As he spoke, he made a throat-slitting gesture. Commandery Prince Ming's eyes turned cold and he said with disgust, "What do you want?" He would take revenge for his own vengeance. What does that have to do with me? The guard cupped his hands. Yes. The carriage stopped outside the gates of the Tsonglan Women's Academy. The maid gently lifted the curtain for Xiao Hang. Miss Gu has arrived. Xiao Hang got out of the carriage with the sleeping little Jing Kong in his arms. There was a hint of playfulness in his eyes. He took out a written note and handed it to her. Please tell your young master that thank you. Gu Jiao and the others left the inner city. Gu Jiao looked at Mu Chuan and Mu Qingchen strangely and asked, "Why are you two going back to the academy?" Mu Chuan shrugged. "I don't know. I followed fourth brother here." Mu Qingchen paused and said, "I'm moving to the academy." "Oh." Mu Chuan rubbed his sore neck. When he came to his senses, he suddenly opened his eyes and looked at his fourth brother. "Fourth brother, what did you say? You're going to live in the academy?" Mu Qingchen said seriously, "The competition is coming. We'll waste too much time on the road every day. It's better to use it for training. The people of the Wuyue Academy are right. We can't win every match so easily. The reason why we were able to win today was largely because our opponent's skills were uneven. Su Ping's skill level was greatly lowered. As long as there were 2 members of the royal family in a team, our chances of winning would be reduced by half." Yes, Mu Qingchen is right. Wu Fuzi also urged his horse to walk beside the group of people. He said with great approval, "There are still many powerful academies. Even if they don't have the royal family's due show, their power should not be underestimated if they cooperate well with each other. We have to step up our training." "Will the next match be held at the Lingbo Academy?" Gu Jiao asked. "Yes. Other than the Grand Preceptor Hall and the palace, only the Lingbo Academy's field is perfect. It could be seen from the arrangement of the stands." "How many more days?" Gu Jiao asked again. 7 days. Wu Fuzi said, "There will be other competitions in the next 2 days. If you have time, you can go and watch. But you can't delay your training." "Does that mean I can delay my studies?" Wu Fuzi choked. "You can't say that. You can just do it secretly." In the carriage, Deanson pretended to be deaf. At dusk, the group arrived at the academy. Wu Fuzi wanted to analyze today's competition with everyone. Gu Jiao asked Gu Shaoshun to bring Gu Yen back first. The bowler team gathered at the field. School had already ended, but there were still many students gathered around the field. Everyone had heard that Chenxiong Academy had advanced to the next round and they were all surprised. Chenxiong Academy had never won any bowler competition. It would be a lie to say that they were extremely disappointed, but it wouldn't be right to say that they didn't care either. When Gu Jiao and the others rode their horses and slowly walked into the field, they were greeted by everyone's gazes. Everyone was mainly shocked and there wasn't any formal ceremony. But that moment of attention made the bowlers feel a long-lost glory. Mu Chuan straightened his back. Cough, cough. All right. You all go over there and wait for me." Wu Fuzi's old face was burning. The martial scholar had never had a chance to display his skills in the literary institute. This was also the first time he returned with glory. He was too excited. He only won the first match and he already felt this way. He didn't dare to think about the next few matches. Deep breaths. Calm down. Wu Fuzi rode his horse over valiantly. "Did our academy really win?" "We won. We won against the royal family's bowler. If I knew we would win, I would have gone to watch the competition." "Me too." Outside the field, the students were all talking at once. They all regretted missing today's competition. How could they have expected their academy to win? They thought that they would be defeated as soon as they went on the field like the previous few times. "I heard that many people from Wuyue Academy went. Is our academy the most embarrassing? There isn't even a single person cheering for us?" It seems like it." Everyone blushed with shame. Wu Fuzi finished analyzing everyone's performance today and asked them to go back and rest well. They would come back for training tomorrow morning. What's going on today? When Gu Jiao led the horse back to the stable, Mu Qingchen stopped her. Gu Jiao turned around and asked in astonishment, "What happened?" "Nan Gonglin," Mu Qingchen said bluntly. Gu Jiao didn't deliberately hide it. He was hit in the waist and abdomen. Half of his body was paralyzed and he fell off the horse. Mu Qingchen frowned. He took a deep look at Gu Jiao and asked, "Are they here for you?" At that time, Gu Jiao was relatively close to the crowd. Nan Gonglin was on the other side of Gu Jiao. Nan Gonglin questioned Gu Jiao on the spot why she bent over to grab the ball. It was too chaotic at that time. No one understood the strangeness of this sentence. Now that they thought about it, was there any direct relationship between Gu Jiao bending over to grab the ball and Nan Gonglin falling off the horse? He couldn't have been frightened by Gu Jiao's grab of the ball and fell off the horse, right? But if the other party wanted to make Gu Jiao fall off the horse, everything made sense. "What happened to you?" Gu Jiao asked. "Ha!" Mu Qingchen was stunned. Bowing, Gu Jiao said. Mu Qingchen understood. It's not what Su Hao said. He didn't swear not to bow anymore because he had lost to anyone. Su Hao did see him lose to someone, but he was willing to admit defeat. Besides, he was happy to lose to that person. Seeing that he didn't intend to continue, Gu Jiao didn't force him. She led the horse back to the stable and handed it to the servant who took care of the stable. She turned and walked out. Mu Qingchen walked out with her. Just as they were about to say goodbye, Mu Qingchen suddenly spoke again. "I once stayed in the manor for a period of time when I was young." That was when his mother left the Su family in a fit of anger after discovering Su Hao's existence. Su Hao was actually a mistress. His mother never knew that his father had a mistress outside. By the time she found out, Su Hao could already walk. It was a situation that even abortion medicine couldn't save. Su Hao was a day older than him. His mother had a difficult labor and only gave birth to him after 3 days. In the first 2 days of her life, his father was accompanying another woman to give birth. In order not to see his father, his mother kept moving. He went to Snow Cloud Villa when he was 9 years old. "She was 6 years old when I first saw her," Mu Qingchen recalled. "That childhood playmate?" Gu Jiao thought of the ugly doll that fell out of Mu Qingchen's bag. She didn't see it clearly, but she could tell that it was quite ugly. Mu Qingchen nodded. "I lived in the manor for 2 years. She lived in the villa next door. She liked to bow and always rode her date red pony to the foot of the mountain to look for people to bow. Later on, she left, and I never bowed again." This was the second time Gu Jiao heard him describe his childhood playmate as left. "Is she no longer alive?" Gu Jiao asked. Mu Qingchen paused, disappointment flashing across his eyes. "Yes, she left when she was 8 years old. Before she left, she told me to take good care of her father. She also said that she would come back one day." Speaking of this, Mu Qingchen smiled bitterly. "I really believed her at that time. I was so stupid. A dead person can't come back to life. I understood this later. But 9 years have passed, and I still can't help but wait. I just wait for the day when she can appear in front of me alive." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1077888978. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 653. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are all available here. The weather changed quickly. Before Gu Jiao left the academy, heavy rain poured down. Mu Qingchen accompanied her to the gatehouse to hide from the rain for a while. No one spoke. Gu Jiao had always been a woman of few words. Mu Qingchen didn't say much either. But for some reason, he was willing to speak in front of Gu Jiao. But perhaps he recalled the sad past. After he finished talking about his childhood playmate, he didn't say a word until Gu Jiao left. When Gu Jiao returned home, night had completely fallen. The kitchen was filled with the aroma of delicious food. Madame Nan made scallion pancakes. The whole courtyard was filled with crispy fragrance. Gu Shaoshan had already described the exciting process of the boxing competition to Madame Nan, Master Lu, and Old Master Meng. It was different from the usual practice. The atmosphere on the field was difficult to describe with words. In short, it's very good. My sister is very good. Everyone in the family was very happy. Madame Nan made a table full of delicious dishes. No one ate first. They were all waiting for Gu Jiao to come back. As soon as Gu Jiao entered the house, she saw her family sitting in the central room waiting for her. She looked at everyone and then at the dishes on the table. She didn't say anything like they didn't have to wait for her in the future. Instead, she said, "I'll come back earlier next time." Madame Nan smiled. "It's okay. It was raining heavily just now. You didn't get wet, right?" Gu Jiao shook her head. "No, I hid from the rain at the academy for a while." Madame Nan said gently, "Go wash your hands and eat. The water is here, the water is here." Gu Shaoshan ran into the house with a basin of water. Gu Jiao washed her hands. "I'll go and see Yen first." Madame Nan smiled. "Okay." Gu Yen was exhausted after a whole day of watching the competition. He fell asleep as soon as he got home. Gu Jiao touched his forehead and checked his pulse. After confirming that there was no major deterioration, she got up and walked out. In the central room, Mistress Nan said to Gu Jiao, "I've pickled some radishes. Next time you go to the inner city, bring them to Lulang and Jingkong. I put vegetable oil in them, so they can be eaten in Jingkong too." Gu Jiao said, "Many thanks to Nan Shenyang." After dinner, Gu Jiao washed up and went back to her room to rest. Not only was Gu Yen exhausted, but she was also a little tired. Not long after, she fell into a deep sleep. That night, she fell asleep again. However, it was neither a large mansion nor a bustling street. Instead, it was at the back of a mountain range. She saw the young High Duke again. In fact, she could only see his back, but she recognized him. He wasn't alone. He was holding the hand of a little girl in plain clothes. The little girl was holding a red pony in her hand. In front of the two of them were more than 10 graves. On each grave stood a wordless monument. The sky was gray, and the cold wind whistled around them. The young duke said, "Yin, come and kowtow to your grandfather and uncles. When you were born, they all held you. Your name was given by your first uncle. They all loved you very much. Why are there no names on the monument?" The little girl pointed at the wordless monument on the grave. The young duke said, "Because they can't write their names." The little girl asked, "Why? Did you lose their names?" The young duke said in a daze, "Yes, their names are lost. Yin, when you grow up, can you find the names of grandfather and uncles?" The little girl said, "Okay, when I find them, I'll carve their names on the monument." The young duke looked into the distance. "Yes, carve their names on the monument. One day, the world will know that the people buried here are the sons of Shenyuan, who protected the Yen dynasty." Gu Jiao woke up in the middle of the night. The dream faded again, but this time she remembered more things than last time. In addition to the duke, there were more than 10 graves with wordless monuments. Gu Jiao was puzzled. The appearance of the graves was strange. and so was the appearance of the Duke. She just saw him in the day, and then dreamed of him at night. It couldn't be that she had set her sights on a good-looking man, could it? Gu Jiao scratched her eyebrows. Am I cuckolding my husband? In the Duke's mansion, the lights were bright, and the servants were busy. Second Madam was sweating profusely from managing everything inside and outside. Is the medicine that Miss Mu asked you to boil ready? Is the porridge for the second master ready? Give me the paper money, I'll burn it myself. The Duke was sick and had a high fever that didn't subside. The entire Duke's residence was in a complete mess. Even though Mu Ru Xian was treating the Duke, the second Madam still secretly burned some paper money for her ancestors to pray for her eldest brother's safety. The second master was like a frightened quail standing in front of his eldest brother's door. He did not know whether to enter or leave. Speaking of which, it was his eldest brother's fault that he fell sick. On the way back to the mansion, they met the courtesans parading the streets. He looked at them a few more times, which delayed the time to return to the mansion. As a result, there was a rainstorm. The carriage was drenched, and he and his eldest brother were drenched. His martial arts body could withstand it, but his eldest brother was in trouble. The second Madam came back after burning the paper money. She glared at her husband. It's all your fault. The second master said embarrassedly, It's my fault, it's my fault. He really did not expect it to rain. If he knew earlier, he would not even look at the courtesans taking a bath, let alone the courtesans parading the streets. The second Madam was angry at him, but she could not help but feel sorry for him. She said bitterly, The porridge is ready. Eat some before coming back. The second master sighed, I can't eat. I'll stay here and wait. I'll leave when eldest brother is fine. The second Madam said, It's useless for you to stay here. You won't be able to help Lady Mu. The second master thought for a while. Then, I'll go kowtow to the ancestors. He turned around and left. The second Madam looked at his back and helplessly shook her head. Inside the room, Mu Ru Xian was treating the Duke. Sure Yi did not like outsiders watching her treat a patient. Other than her, there was only a personal maid she brought from Chan country in the room. The maid knew a little about medicine, so she was her assistant, acting as a medicine boy. Three-edged needle. Mu Ru Xian sat by the bed and extended her hand to the maid. The maid handed over a brand new three-edged needle. The Duke's high fever did not subside. Mu Ru Xian used the three-edged needle to pierce the China Duke's de Jouet point and let out a few drops of blood. After that, she treated the Duke's wound and turned him over to lie down. Hurry up with the medicine. I already urged them, but they said it would be done soon. Mu Ru Xian did not say anything else. Waking her up in the middle of the night made her sleepy. Just as she planned to let the maid pour her a cup of strong tea to wake her up, she heard a weak voice. She frowned and looked at the Duke, who seemed to be talking in his sleep. She bent down and carefully listened to what the Duke was saying. Young miss, is the Duke talking? Sure. Mu Ru Xian made a shushing gesture. After listening for a while, she sat up and said to the maid, He seems to be calling a name, Inin. Mu Ru Xian hesitated for a while before she took the Duke's pulse again and checked the temperature of his palm. Her finger was just about to touch his palm when the Duke grabbed it out of reflex. Young miss. The maid was startled. The Duke called out that name, Inin. Inin. The medicine is ready. The second Madam personally walked over with the medicine. Just as she pushed the door open and entered the room, she saw her eldest brother grabbing Mu Ru Xian. She paused in her steps. Second Madam. Mu Ru Xian calmly greeted her and then pulled her hand out of his grasp. To be more precise, it was more like the Duke had taken the initiative to let go of her hand. He seemed to know that he had grabbed the wrong person. But the second Madam was unable to see through these subtle movements. The second Madam was stunned for a while before she walked forward with the medicine bowl. The Duke's condition, how is it? I have already performed acupuncture on the Duke. Let's wait and see, Mu Ru Xian said. Ah. The second madam pursed her lips and couldn't help but look at the Duke's hand. Mu Ru Xian explained, I was taking the Duke's pulse just now. The maid hurriedly explained to Mu Ru Xian, it was the Duke who grabbed my young miss. The Duke kept pulling my young miss' hand and calling, Yin. Who is Yin? Don't mistake my young miss for someone else. Shut up. Mu Ru Xian said coldly. The maid shut her mouth. The second madam looked at the Duke before looking at Mu Ru Xian. She said in disbelief, did the Duke really call you Yin? Mu Ru Xian frowned and nodded. From her point of view, it was indeed so. There was only her and the maid in the room, and the Duke only grabbed her to call Yin. Put the medicine here first. I will go out for a while. After saying that, the second madam lifted her skirt and rushed to the small ancestral hall of the Duke's estate. Second Master Jing was kneeling on the ground and sincerely kowtowing to the old ancestors. Don't kowtow, don't kowtow. I have something to discuss with you. The second madam dragged Second Master Jing out. What is it? Second Master Jing looked at her in confusion. The second madam's eyes brightened as she said, eldest brother spoke. Second Master Jing was very calm. Didn't I tell you earlier that eldest brother knows how to call Yin? The second madam said, it's not that. Eldest brother just grabbed Miss Mu's hand and called Yin. He mistook Miss Mu for Yin. Second Master Jing waved his hand. How is that possible? How many years has Yin been gone? Of course I know Yin isn't here anymore. But didn't eldest brother break this place? The second madam pointed at her own head. Perhaps he doesn't even remember. Second Master Jing shook his head decisively. No, eldest brother won't forget. The second madam said, all right. I will treat it as eldest brother remembering. Let me ask you, did eldest brother's condition improve after Miss Mu came to our estate? Did eldest brother call Yin after Miss Mu saw him that day? Second Master Jing kept recalling. It seems that's right. Just now, eldest brother grabbed her and called her Yin. The second madam emphasized this matter again. What do you want to say? Second Master Jing asked. The second madam smiled mysteriously. I want to say that eldest brother wants a daughter. Miss Mu and Yin are about the same age. If eldest brother really likes her, he can take her as his daughter. This. Second Master Jing hesitated. The second madam said, let Miss Mu call you father. Perhaps that will wake eldest brother up. Second Master Jing frowned. Wait, didn't you say you didn't believe in talking to eldest brother? When Mu Qing Chen's classmate suggested it, you treated him as a quack and chased him out. The second madam said angrily, can't I believe it now? Second Master Jing raised his brows. Oh. Then his 500 taels of medical fee wasn't in vain. The second madam respected the Duke's heart. Ever since she married into the Duke's estate, she hadn't been bullied or punished. If her maternal family encountered any problems, she didn't need to personally say anything. Eldest brother would take the initiative to ask second master to compensate her maternal family. She really hoped that eldest brother would wake up. But that girl might not be willing. Second Master Jing said. The second madam smiled. I will go and sound her out first. Soon, the second madam went to the Duke's room and called Mu Ru Xian to the courtyard. She softly explained Yin's identity to her. She is my eldest brother's daughter. Mu Ru Xian nodded. I see. The second madam smiled. You're about the same age as my eldest brother's daughter. You've been by my eldest brother's side these past few days. It must have made him think of his daughter. The Duke's family's daughter has a high status. Ru Xian doesn't dare to compare herself to her. No matter how arrogant Mu Ru Xian was, she wouldn't compare herself to the daughter of an aristocratic family. You haven't asked about Miss Mu's mother? The second madam asked. Mu Ru Xian said gloomily, my parents passed away early. It was my master who raised me. She really has a hard life. The second madam held her hand and patted it lightly. If Eneen was still alive, she would be about your age. After the second madam left, a maid asked Mu Ruexin, "Young mistress, what does the second madam mean? Why did she suddenly say so many strange things to you?" Mu Ruexin looked at the hand the Duke had grabbed and said calmly, "Who knows?" The next day, a piece of news spread like wildfire in the Duke's estate. A few maids gathered in the garden to do some sweeping. The first maid said, "Have you heard? The Duke wants to adopt Miss Mu as his daughter." The second maid said, "Who did you hear it from?" The first maid said, "Don't worry about what I heard. Just tell me if you believe it or not." The second maid said, "I don't believe it." The third maid came over. "It's true. I heard it." The Duke held Miss Mu's hand and called out his daughter's name. The fourth maid also came over. "The Duke is awake." The first maid said, "He only wakes up when Miss Mu is with him." The second maid said, "It seems that Miss Mu is going to be our Duke's family's daughter. She's a bit arrogant. I don't really like her." The first maid said, "Do I need you to like her? It's enough that the Duke likes her." Gu Jiao didn't know anything about what happened in the Duke's estate. She had been training in the mornings and evenings and going to school during the day. She was extremely busy. In the blink of an eye, it was the 6th day. The next day was the second round of the archery competition. They didn't have any funds last time, so they could only stay at the academy. They had to get up early on the day of the competition. This time, the academy gave them a sum of money and Wu Fuzi booked an inn in the inner city for them to stay there for the night. This way, they wouldn't have to get up early the next morning and waste their energy on the road. The contestants had to enter the venue early, but the audience didn't. Thus, Gu Yan and Gu Shaoshun would go the next morning. Principal Tsen had a spacious and comfortable carriage to take care of them. The group entered the inner city in a grandiose manner. The inn that Wu Fuzi booked was called New Moon Inn. It was about 2 miles away from Lingbo Academy. After getting off the carriage, Mu Chuan saw the inn and complained, "This place is very far from Lingbo Academy." Wu Fuzi coughed lightly. "It's only 2 miles away." "It's not far. We'll be there soon." The main reason was that the money given by the academy was only enough to book this inn. Recently, because of the archery competition, the prices of the nearby inns had all increased. "This inn is so shabby," Mu Chuan said disdainfully. The young master of the Mu family, who lived in luxury, had never stayed in such a shabby inn even when his mother punished him to experience the hardships of the common people. "Ahem. It looks shabby from the outside, but it's not bad inside," Wu Fuzi said as he stepped over the threshold. With a clang, the plaque in the lobby fell down. Wu Fuzi was speechless. "Fourth brother, let's go home," Mu Chuan whispered to Mu Qingchen. Mu Qingchen glanced at Gu Jiao, who had already gone upstairs with her bag, and said indifferently, "You can go back by yourself." After saying that, he also walked up the stairs. "Hey! Fourth brother," Wu Fuzi booked the best rooms for them. Each of them had a room on the second floor. Even Wu Fuzi's room wasn't as good as theirs. Gu Jiao's room was between Mu Qingchen and Mu Chuan's room. Mu Chuan came over with his bag. "Xiao Lulang, I'll switch rooms with you." He wanted to be next to his fourth brother. Gu Jiao didn't have any objections. Mu Chuan got his wish and stayed next to Mu Qingchen. When Mu Qingchen came over to find Gu Jiao, he saw Mu Chuan's face that deserved a slap. Mu Chuan smiled brightly and opened his arms. "Fourth brother. Are you surprised? Are you surprised?" Mu Qingchen was speechless. They had dinner in the main hall. In order to ensure everyone's safety, Wu Fuzi tasted every dish to make sure it wasn't poisonous and harmless before asking the waiter to bring it out. They had to enter early tomorrow, so everyone went back to their rooms to rest after dinner. Wu Fuzi guarded the corridor and didn't allow anyone to come out for a walk. It was a little stuffy in the room. Gu Jiao opened the window to get some fresh air. Her room was facing the street. Standing by the window, she could see half of the night view of the street. Shangdu's night view was more prosperous than the capital of the Zhao kingdom. She quietly looked at the endless stream of people. Suddenly, she saw a familiar figure. The night was very dark and he was very far away, but she was sure that she didn't see wrong. She stared at his portrait countless times and pictured his expression in her mind. It was him. Nan Gong Li with a broken arm. Nan Gong Li had just come out of a shop and stepped into the Nan Gong family's carriage. Gu Jiao narrowed her eyes dangerously and jumped down from the second floor. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. You can find all the novels that you can't find on the internet here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642/82642/1077772515. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 654. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Right now, the night market was bustling. There were too many people and carriages on the street, so Nan Gong Li's carriage wasn't moving fast. This made it easier for Gu Jiao to follow him. Nan Gong Li had lost an arm and was seriously injured. It was said that he was about to die, but it looked like he was living well. Then, how did the rumor that he was about to die come about? What was the motive? Gu Jiao guessed that Nan Gong Li had failed his mission to assassinate Xiao Hang. In order to reduce his punishment, he pretended to be seriously injured. Who was the person who gave him this mission? Was it the head of the Nan Gong family or someone else? No matter what, Nan Gong Li wasn't innocent. Nan Gong Li's carriage first walked on the long street for a while, then turned right into a small alley. After passing through the alley, there was another relatively quiet street. This street mostly sold antiques and paintings. It wasn't as lively as the long street with the brothels and lanterns. But because there weren't many people, it increased the chances of Gu Jiao being exposed. Gu Jiao had no choice but to walk more lightly. Nan Gong Li's carriage stopped in front of an antique shop. The driver put down the footstool and helped Nan Gong Li down. Gu Jiao was hiding behind a pillar diagonally across the street. Earlier, on the second floor, it was too far and she couldn't see clearly. Now that she was closer, the light from the lanterns shone on Nan Gong Li's face. Gu Jiao found that Nan Gong Li's injury wasn't optimistic. His face was very pale, and his steps weren't as steady as they were in the country of Zhao. It seemed that Chong Jing's sword didn't just cut off his arm, it also damaged his foundation. It was impossible for him to recover. After Nan Gong Li entered the shop, Gu Jiao also arrived near the shop. She hesitated whether to go in directly or secretly climb up to the roof. She had seen Nan Gong Li before. She had seen him in person and in pictures, but she wasn't sure if Nan Gong Li had seen her before. She also wasn't sure if he had investigated her while investigating Xiao Lulang. If he hadn't, then it wouldn't matter if she went in openly. But what if Gu Jiao lowered her head and looked at her clothes? She had come out in a hurry and hadn't changed her clothes. She was wearing the Chenqiong Academy's uniform. Forget it, let's climb the wall. Gu Jiao walked into the alley and climbed up the wall to the roof. The darkness of the night perfectly concealed her figure. She followed Nan Gong Li's voice and gently lifted a tile. Nan Gong Li sat on the main seat. Opposite him stood a man in his 50s dressed like a merchant. He looked like the shopkeeper of this shop. Gu Jiao was now at the 10th level of Yen Kingdom, so there was naturally no situation where she could not understand their conversation. She heard Nan Gong Li ask, "How's the situation over there?" The shopkeeper sighed. His Highness was very angry. He asked why he couldn't even handle such a small matter. Nan Gongli said, "This is no small matter. One of my arms is gone." The shopkeeper hurriedly said, "General, you have worked hard and made great contributions. His Highness also said that General should recuperate well." "Humph, I'm afraid that if I wasn't so badly injured, His Highness would punish me, right?" His Highness was also angry. How could His Highness not understand your loyalty to His Highness? When Gu Jiao heard this, she more or less understood what was going on. The small matter that Nan Gongli was talking about should be the assassination of Xiao Heng. However, this matter didn't seem to be the Nan Gong family's idea. There was also a highness behind it. Only the great Yen royal family could be called a highness. Why did the great Yen royal family want Xiao Heng's life? Was Xiao Heng related to the great Yen royal family? Nan Gongli said impatiently, "Okay, let's not talk about this. How's the investigation going?" At present, it seemed that this shopkeeper had 3 identities. The first was the shopkeeper of this shop. The second was the informant of that highness. The third was Nan Gongli's confidant. The shopkeeper said, "A few years ago, the young master of the Dark Knight sect left home in a fit of pique with the old master. After that, there was no news of him. Those elders of the Dark Knight sect who went to the Zhao country should have gone to look for the young master. Who would have thought that they didn't meet the young master but happened to save you?" Nan Gongli frowned and said, "I was unconscious at that time and couldn't tell them that the one who hurt me was the young master of the Dark Knight sect. When I woke up in the Nan Gong family, they had already left." "Wait, wasn't it Chong Jing who hurt you? How did you become the young master of the Dark Knight sect? What was the Dark Knight sect?" Gu Jiao was confused. The shopkeeper hesitated and said, "Then, General, are you going to tell the Dark Knight sect about the young master?" Nan Gongli snorted coldly. "So what if I tell them? Will they be able to kill their young sect master to avenge me? The young master hurt me, but their protector also saved me. According to the old master's nature of protecting his children, he will definitely say that the merits offset the faults. He won't put justice before family." The shopkeeper sighed and said, "The old master had a son at an old age. You don't know how much he cherishes this son. Naturally, he can't bear to punish him." Nan Gongli said coldly, "But I can't let it go." The shopkeeper's face changed slightly. "General, are you going to—" Nan Gongli didn't continue. "I have my own arrangements for this matter. Pay more attention to His Highness. Although I'm injured, I still have the military power in my hands. I'm still useful to His Highness." The shopkeeper smiled and said, "The Nan Gong family is now the most powerful family in the military power. His Highness thinks highly of you. When you recover, we'll send someone to kill that boy." "I know." Nan Gongli stood up lightly and accidentally pulled a wound on his broken arm. He gasped in pain and subconsciously raised his left hand to support himself. However, he accidentally knocked down a calligraphy and painting on the cabinet. The calligraphy and painting spread out on the ground. Gu Jiao took a closer look. It was a portrait of Xiao Heng. To be exact, it was a portrait of the #1 beauty of Zhonglan Academy. The beauty in the portrait was wearing plain silk and a translucent veil. She was indescribably beautiful. Nan Gongli had kidnapped Xiao Heng before and recognized Xiao Heng's face. Gu Jiao frowned slightly and clenched the silver needle in her hand. The shopkeeper bowed and rolled up the portrait. He said embarrassedly, "It's a portrait of the beauty of the 6 countries. She's the new beauty of Zhonglan Academy." Nan Gongli wasn't interested and left without looking back. Gu Jiao took back the silver needle. Through the conversation just now, Gu Jiao confirmed 2 things. First, the great Yen imperial family wanted Xiao Heng's life. Second, her sweetheart Chong Jing was the young master of the Dark Knight sect. Did Marquis Xianping know that he kidnapped the precious son of the Dark Knight sect's master? If the master of the Dark Knight sect knew, he would probably chop him with a knife. After Nan Gongli left, Gu Jiao slowly put the tile back and jumped down. Nan Gong Li originally only brought a coachman who knew martial arts, so it wasn't too difficult for Gu Jiao to follow him. However, after they left the pawn shop, a group of people suddenly came to pick up Nan Gong Li. Gu Jiao hesitated for a moment and decided to stop here today. Since she knew that this pawn shop was Nan Gong Li's stronghold, as long as she kept an eye on it, she would meet Nan Gong Li again in the future. However, her plan couldn't keep up with the changes. Xiao Hang and Little Jing Kong appeared nearby. Little Jing Kong was a little taller and his original clothes were too short. Xiao Hang brought him here to customize his clothes. Coincidentally, the embroidery building was right opposite the pawn shop. Nan Gong Li and Xiao Heng's carriages stopped at the side of the road. Little Jing Kong stuck his little head out of the window and looked around curiously. When Gu Jiao saw him, she was basically sure that Xiao Hang was also in the carriage. At this time, Nan Gong Li also came to the street. As long as Xiao Hang got off the carriage, Nan Gong Li would be able to see him. The curtain of the carriage was lifted. A jade-like slender hand reached out from the carriage. As if there was some kind of invisible attraction, Nan Gong Li subconsciously looked at the carriage opposite. Little Jing Kong jumped down first. He was so tanned that he looked like a little black egg. He blended into the night and didn't show his appearance. However, Xiao Hang was too eye-catching. Just as Xiao Hang bowed and walked out of the carriage, Gu Jiao suddenly picked up a small stone beside her feet and threw it at Nan Gong Li. With a bang, a big bump appeared on Nan Gong Li's head. The guards around Nan Gong Li and the carriage surrounded him. "Protect the general," one of the guards said. With this distraction, Xiao Hang successfully entered the embroidery building. Nan Gong Li glanced at the carriage but didn't see anything. At this time, his attention was no longer on the carriage that made him feel uneasy. His whereabouts were exposed. He covered the bump on his head and shouted, "Chase after them!" Yes. 8 guards rushed forward and chased in the direction where the stone was thrown. Gu Jiao was still wearing the clothes of Qianqiong Academy. It was really not a good time to fight. She quickly retreated. The other party chased after her relentlessly and divided into 3 groups to surround her. Just as she passed by a small alley, a bony hand suddenly reached over, covered her mouth, and pulled her over. Because the force was too strong, she bumped into the other party's arms. She shook one of her arms and a silver needle fell into her hand. "It's me." A familiar voice sounded in her ears. Gu Jiao pulled back her hand and turned to look at him. Mu Qingchen looked around and confirmed that Gu Jiao recognized him. He used his qing gong to take Gu Jiao to a carriage at the other end of the alley. Nan Gong Li's 8 guards surrounded them from different directions and finally locked onto the carriage. The coachman wasn't there. The guards exchanged vigilant looks with each other. One of them asked, "Who's in the carriage? Come out." Mu Qingchen looked at Gu Jiao beside him and signaled her to open the secret compartment under the seat. Gu Jiao did as she was told and found a set of brand new women's clothes inside. From the style, it seemed to be Su Shui's. "If you don't come out, we'll take action," the guard said coldly. Gu Jiao put on Su Shui's clothes. To be honest, it was a little small, but it was barely enough to cover Qianqiong Academy's uniform. Mu Qingchen's original intention was to let Gu Jiao put it on directly. He didn't know that the person beside him was a woman, so naturally, he didn't think it was inconvenient for her to change. However, seeing Gu Jiao so stubbornly put it on, he didn't suspect anything. He just thought that Gu Jiao misunderstood his intention. He lifted the curtain a little to cover Gu Jiao and only revealed himself. Not everyone had seen young Master Qingchen before, but his clothes were extraordinary and he had an aristocratic aura. The guards were all stunned. Mu Qingchen revealed his identity. "I'm Mu Qingchen. Who are you?" "Oh, it's young Master Qingchen." The guard who had been clamoring before saluted. "Excuse me." Young Master Qingchen was famous in Shangdu. Some people might not have seen him, but they would have heard of him. Mu Qingchen turned the tables. "Answer me. Who are you?" We. The guard hesitated. Nan Gong Li was traveling in secret, and none of the guards were wearing the Nangong family's uniform. Naturally, the guard didn't dare to take the initiative to reveal Nangong Li's identity. "They're my men." Nangong Li's voice suddenly came from the other end of the alley. His carriage slowly drove over, and the guards made way for him. The carriage stopped 10 steps away, and the coachman opened the curtain for Nangong Li. Nangong Li sat in the carriage and looked at Mu Qingchen with dignity. That was if one ignored the big bump on his head. "Young Master Mu, long time no see." Mu Qingchen politely greeted him. "So it's General Nangong. I heard that General Nangong was seriously injured, but it seems that you've recovered well." It was a lie. His face was pale, and it was obvious that he was enduring great pain all the time. Nangong Li didn't beat around the bush. He said bluntly, "I'm chasing an assassin, but I lost track of him when I came here." "Did young Master Qingchen see him?" "No," Mu Qingchen said without a change in expression. Nangong Li took a deep look at Mu Qingchen. "There seems to be another person in young Master Mu's carriage?" Nangong Li was an expert, so it wasn't difficult for him to hear another breath in the carriage. Mu Qingchen said, "It's my third sister. She caught a cold and ran to the inn to see me. I was about to send her back home." "Oh." Nangong Li was skeptical. Mu Qingchen lifted the curtain a little, revealing Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao loosened her hair and used a hairband to tie it behind her head. She also wore a veil to cover the birthmark on her face, only revealing a pair of calm eyes. Mu Qingchen said to Gu Jiao, "It's General Nangong." He was implying that Gu Jiao should bow to Nangong Li. But why would Gu Jiao bow to such a person? Gu Jiao looked at Nangong Li and asked in her female voice, "What's the matter, General Nangong?" Her tone was a bit arrogant. Mu Qingchen almost choked. Nangong Li had been observing Gu Jiao, so he didn't notice Mu Qingchen's surprise. The Su family's status was higher than the Nangong family's. Although Nangong Li was unhappy, he didn't suspect anything. In the end, he didn't see any flaws and left with his guards. After they left, Mu Qingchen looked at Gu Jiao as if he had seen a ghost. You just... Oh." Gu Jiao changed back to her teenage voice and said without any guilt, "I like to listen to operas. I learned a little." Hearing the familiar teenage voice, Mu Qingchen breathed a sigh of relief. For a moment, he almost thought that his classmate was a girl. Mu Qingchen looked at her bright eyes and realized that his heart was beating a little fast. He calmed down and said, You shouldn't dress like this in the future. It'll make people misunderstand. And don't use that voice again." Gu Jiao said, "You asked me to change." Mu Qingchen choked. Gu Jiao was wearing a veil and her long hair was loose. Her cold and beautiful eyes were infinitely enlarged in his eyes. Mu Qingchen didn't dare to look at her anymore. He quickly changed the topic and asked, "Why did General Nangong say that you were an assassin? Did you really assassinate him?" Gu Jiao said, "No, I just threw a stone at him." Mu Qingchen was puzzled. "Why?" Gu Jiao said fiercely, "Because his son bullied me. I'm angry." Mu Qingchen. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_89642_826/1077555562. HTML Genius memorized the website's address. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Version Website. zhbqg.com. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.